wholeheartedly their lives.
Caroline, so soon
The man I once was is gone.
She's been having an affair
Replaced
with her
by
boss
someone
for
they
about
should
6
feed.
years, who owns the real
This
estate
is my
firm where she
story.
works.
And
We have
their
3
nightmare.
children, a 16-year-old daughter.
I sat down in
and
my
a
recliner
12-year-old
and looked at
boy.
my phone.
The third one
It was
is
a
a
bit
lovely
after
little
9
girl who
p.m.
has just
and I was
turned
really
2.
tired.
I adore them all.
The
except
twins
my
had just
wife.
gone to bed.
Yes. I picked
Before
up the
I forget,
6-year-olds
I am
from
a police
school at
sergeant.
4 p.m.,
My youngest
which
kid
meant I had to
collapsed at
leave work
daycare
early
around
2 months ago. Once they
And
were
my
in the
wife
car,
was unable to
we
lift
went
her up.
home. I
Dad
rushed to
rushes to
make
help.
dinner,
I
played
rushed
with them
into my
for an
car
hour,
with flashing
and then
lights
spent
and chased
another
after
hour
her.
trying to get
She
them
was
ready for
sucking on
bed.
a lollipop on a stick
I was
while
worn out.
sniffling.
I got
approached
up
her,
and slowly made my
examined
way
her,
upstairs to the
kissed
bedroom,
her,
and
tousled
leaving my
her
clothes
hair.
scattered on the
The elder
floor as
ones
I
would
headed
not
for the
allow
bed.
it.
But she
I
enjoys
lay
it.
down on top of
I
the
left her
bedspread
giggling
in my
and went to
boxers
speak with the
and
principal.
quickly fell asleep.
She informed me Gidget
When
had
the alarm
fallen
went
and
off
had
at 6
injured her
a.m.,
leg.
I groaned
They
and
called for
rolled
an
over.
ambulance, and it will
A
arrive
few minutes
shortly.
later,
I was
I
in
went
the
to sit
bathroom
with my kid,
standing
and she
in a
soon
hot
began
shower,
giggling
trying to
again.
wake up. A doctor from the
I shaved
emergency
in the
service
shower to
visited
save time,
and advised her
got
to
out,
go to the
and quickly
emergency
got
department
dressed
for
for work.
sutures. So
Next,
I escorted the
I had to get the
ambulance to the
twins
ER.
ready for school.
I attempted to
They
reach
are
my
both in
wife,
first
but the
grade
call went
at
to
the local
voicemail.
elementary
I
school.
left a message
I
and then
gave them
used
each
the
a cherry
location app
Pop-Tart
because
and a
Lenny
juice
was
box
off
for
and
breakfast.
misplacing his smartphone.
I managed to make myself a
The
cup of
phone was
coffee with the
clever.
Keurig machine.
Not so much for
so
my
I had
wife.
a bit of caffeine
It
in my
showed
system.
her in a Holiday Inn hotel approximately
Thankfully, our
7
local
miles
school
from
has
here.
a morning program
I
for
sat with
parents
my
who need
daughter
to be
while
at
they
work
sewed her
early.
up.
When
I
they
dropped
were
the
finished,
twins
we
off
signed
and
some
one of the
paperwork.
aides waved
I
as she
walked to
took
the
them
trunk
into the
and
school
pulled out
for
a
a second
foldable child
breakfast
seat.
before heading to
I
their
fitted it in
regular
the back
classroom.
seat
and secured her
I
with
didn't stick
seatbelts.
around.
We
Eager
then
to
went
get
to
to
my
find her
office to
mother.
make up for the time
My
I
stomach
left
started
early
to
yesterday.
reject the food I had
I am a
eaten.
financial analyst,
I
and
parked
I'm good
into
at
the
the Holiday Inn parking
I
lot.
make a good
just
living
in time
and
to see
provide well for
Caroline's
my
boss
family.
test
And
an
work
electronics
all
store.
without discussing it
She
with me
hurried out of the
first.
bedroom and towards me.
I'm talking to you
What
now.
happened?
She demanded.
2 days before you
She
leave.
fell.
It sounds
Everything
like
is
you've
okay
already
with
made
her.
up your mind
She
without any
handled it
discussion.
admirably,
That's
even
a
though she only
one-sided
needed
decision.
stitches.
And the
I
doctor
looked her in
stated
the
they would
face and
barely
tapped
leave
my
a
finger
scar
on the table to
She's all
emphasize
right,
my
Caroline.
point.
Why haven't they called me?
No.
She
You
shouted
need to
at
call
me.
Tom
They
and Ruth
tried,
and thank
darling.
them for
They
the
could not
invite,
reach you.
but tell
I
them
tried.
you can't go.
The message got to
She didn't
voicemail.
flinch.
So,
Her
sweetheart,
eyes
where
hardened,
were you?
And she had a determined
She began
look on
stuttering
her face.
and turned away.
I'm
I was
sorry,
attending a
but I
meeting.
need to do this
I
for
switched it
myself.
off so that it
I
would
know
not
it will be
disrupt
hard for
the
you with
meeting.
the kids, but
Instead
you're
of turning it
strong and
off, I
adaptable.
recommend you
It's
set it
only
to
a week.
vibrate. I'm simply
My anger
glad.
was rising, and I was struggling
Nothing
to stay
serious
calm.
occurred to the children.
With clenched
Perhaps
teeth,
nothing fatal
I
happened
tried
to
to
me.
respond without yelling.
Her face became cloudy.
Then the doorbell
Then
rang.
she turned pale.
My wife jumped up and
I never
ran
thought
to
about
answer
that,
the door.
she said.
I heard voices,
Of course
and a
you
few
did not,
seconds
my
later,
dear.
she came back with things started making
She gave me a
sense in my
piercing
mind.
glance before pouring
Another
herself
decision
some
you
wine.
made without telling
The
me.
children chuckled.
Is there
and
anything
threw
else you want to
disapproving
share?
glances at their mother.
She shook her head.
She dashed off
Ruth
somewhere,
tried to lighten
and
the
the
mood.
kids and I discussed
Shelley
school
and I have
events
become
and community
close.
activities.
We have a lot of the
such
same
as
interests
dates.
and the like.
We're excited
It
to
was
do some
chilly between us
sunbathing,
that
swimming,
night,
and
so
shopping
I
on the
grabbed another
islands.
blanket. I looked
We
at
hadn't
Tom.
been close for nearly
And
3
what will you
months.
be doing?
It would be even tougher the next
Oh, the
day.
usual.
I
Taking
visited
care of
with
the
a
boat,
lawyer
making
and
sure
asked
we
about
get
my
from place to
choices.
place and
She
joining
still
in on the
despised
fun.
cheats,
I
particularly
nodded.
women,
Tom,
and had a
what
soft
exactly
place for
do you do
cops.
for work?
But she assured
I
me
am an
that we were
independent
not
real
at
estate
blame.
developer.
Despite
Do you work
this,
for a company
they would
or a
crucify
bank?
me if my
No.
wife did not
I
agree
work
to
on
all
my
I
own.
requested.
I make deals between
She instructed me
landowners,
to gather all
financiers, and
conceivable
construction
evidence.
companies.
We'll
Then
see
I help
what
manage the
happens.
properties after
She
they're
really
built.
stated that from an
Do you have an
alimony
office?
standpoint,
I
I was
work
in
from
good
home.
shape because my wife
I
made
nodded.
more than I did.
Things were adding up.
Furthermore, let me
Due to her
summarize, and
age,
you tell me if
my
I've got
older
it right.
daughter
could choose who
All
she
three
wanted to live
smiled
with.
brightly.
I
Shelley,
approached
you
a
changed
friend
your work
and
schedule to
requested
spend
him to
time
set
with
up
Ruth and
surveillance
Tom.
on my wife
Have
and
you
her
been at their
companion.
house or ours?
He was a good friend,
The smiles
and I had
faded
previously
quickly.
worked with him.
I waited for Shelley
It
to
wouldn't
answer.
be too expensive, and
I
I
didn't
would have
think you
everything
would
I
mind.
needed. My
Then I
income
went
is
to
an
an very
electronics
important.
store and inquired
It's
about
not about the
several
money.
wireless voice
It's about
recorders
making
and
big
3
decisions
video
without
cameras.
including me.
I went
Let
home
me
and set up
continue.
cameras cameras in the master bedroom.
I looked at all
living
three of
room,
them and
saw
guest
their
room.
worried faces.
Though I left.
Around
She
10
stated that it
a.m.,
would
I
not
went
be
to
a
the
family
kitchen for more
occasion,
coffee and
thus
saw
children
Shelley
were not
putting a
invited.
backpack near the front
Looking
door.
back,
next to
I
another
see that it was a
bag.
blessing.
I finished
arrived
making my
shortly
coffee
after
and
11
walked over
a.m.
to
and
look
grabbed
at
a-
Mommy. We don't
Two
want
of
you
her
to leave.
co-workers attempted
Who
to
will take us
distract
to
me,
school
but I
and make
switched
dinner?
to Coke after half a bud.
Shelley looked at me, hoping
They were
I'd help.
slightly tipsy.
I sipped
and
my
I was able
coffee
to
and
keep
let
an
her
eye on
handle
her
it.
as she
She
was weak.
grabbed it and
This
dragged
led
him
to
away
many
from my
questions,
wife.
but I deflected
I
them,
whirled him around
saying
and
my
hit him in
wife
the
was
face
on a
with my
family
right
trip,
fist,
breaking
Lunch
his
was at
nose and
McDonald's,
left,
making
what
the
are you
rush to get the
doing?
twins to school
You have the
hectic.
right to a lawyer.
The teacher met me
If
at the
you
door,
cannot afford
asking
an
if there was a
attorney,
problem.
one will be appointed
I
to
explained
represent
that their
you.
mom was away
Do
and
you
I was
comprehend
handling
the
everything.
rights I have explained to
She
you?
told me about the school's breakfast
Carolyn,
ribbon,
which
I'm not
proves
sure
their
they're not
socks
mine.
matched.
Will
But
you
they were
consent to
ready.
this or never look at your
Knowing
children
they
again?
didn't,
At school, I
crap.
dropped them off.
Did
Blood
some
drained
paperwork
from
with
her
the school
face.
secretary
She
and
collapsed
headed
to
to
the
my
ground
office,
again,
My
screaming.
first stop was my
No.
boss's office.
I picked her
He
up and
looked
wrapped her in her
concerned
shawl.
as I walked in with coffee and a
Decide.
smile.
Carolyn
Either
murmured
you
about
won
my
something
panties.
or your wife
You didn't
came
need them
home.
5 minutes
Which
ago.
is it?
Why do you believe
Neither.
you need them
I have
now?
a report
To
to a
Donna
hotel
and
on the
Laura,
beach,
as well as
more
their
screams
addresses.
and laughter followed.
The jerk's wife
Once
pushed
they
her
were in
way
bed,
through the mob,
I packed for
wanting
all
to
of us.
know what was going on.
It was nearly
1 a.m.
The
when I had
sergeant
all the
revealed
luggage
that
by
her
the
husband
door.
had been detained
I
for
hoped I had
rape,
thought of everything,
and that someone
if not,
had informed her
there had
of
to
the
be a
incident.
Walmart in
She
the Virgin
exploded.
Islands.
You're crap.
At 9
She
a.m.
moved
an
forward,
Uber pulled up,
attempting to strike
With the kids'
Caroline,
help,
who was
we
nearly
loaded the bags
unconscious
into the
at this
minivan
point.
and headed to the airport.
The cops restrained her.
On the way,
and paramedics
I called the
arrived
school to say
shortly
the kids would be
thereafter.
out for at least
When
5
I informed
days.
them what had happened,
Traveling on
they
short
placed
notice
Caroline
with kids
on
can
a
be
stretcher.
tough. But
She
we
stood
were
up
excited
and left a little
We boarded
puddle
the
on the
plane
lounge
with
chair.
no problems.
His
and
juice
6
was
hours
pouring
later,
down
we
her leg
landed in
and
the
she was
Virgin
in
Islands.
tears.
A
I
shuttle took
instructed
us to the
them to
beach
take her
resort.
to a trauma
We tossed
center
our
and
bags
have
in
her
the room,
evaluated for
changed
rape.
into swimsuits, and hit the
Then
beach.
2 more cops
The kids
arrived.
were thrilled.
Arthur
and
with
I
a
was
swollen
too,
face
with a
and
Mai Tai
hand
shackled
shackled
behind his back.
We stayed at the resort
He made the
for 2
mistake
days.
of claiming they had an understanding.
We found not only a beach,
and the intimacy
but a huge
was
water
voluntary.
park
with a lazy river.
Unfortunately, his wife
slides,
heard him and
splash
attacked
pads,
him.
and a wave
You
pool.
son of a bitch.
There was also a bar
They
where
restrained her
Friendly
again,
Island
and she
staff
stated,
kept my drinks coming.
"You will hear from my
Life
lawyer."
was looking up. I accompanied
While
them
the
to
kids
the station
played,
and
I
signed
made
all
some
of the
calls,
documents. Since
I didn't plan to
after
spend
all,
all our
was still
time by
my
the
wife.
pool or beach.
I went to the
I
precinct
finally
and made a
arranged the
sworn
next
complaint
part of our
against
trip.
him. Because it was Saturday,
That
he
night,
couldn't be
I told
tried
the
until
kids we
Monday.
were leaving the
He
resort
attempted
the
to
next
contact
day.
his lawyer, but
They
his wife
pouted,
had beaten
but
him
I said
to
we
it.
were going on a boat trip
I
around
returned
the
to the
islands.
reception area
They
and went to
smiled,
visit my
though a
soon-to-be
bit
ex-wife.
confused.
She'd had a difficult
Early the
day
next
and
morning,
dressed
they
sailing,
don't
comprehend why she did what
screams,
she did, and excitement. Welcome to the club.
I watched as Jeff
skillfully maneuvered
I went
the
to
boat
gather
out of the
reports,
marina.
videos,
He only used the
photos,
motor to get us
surveillance
out of the
reports,
slip as
and
we entered the
receipts for
channel.
anything
He
I had
began
on her.
giving orders. I prepared for
Bill,
a total of 6
see that
packets
blue
with the
line at the
exception
bottom
of the
of the
DNA
mast
test results.
Grab it and
I
hire
hired
a
a
lawyer
lawyer
and
and
initiated the divorce
then lead it to
process.
that
I
winch
asked
and
for a
wrap it
restraining
3
order
times
based on the police
clockwise
report
around
and
the
rape
winch.
case papers.
When I tell
I put
you,
the DNA
hold the end of the
results in
line
a
and
folder
crank
for
that
the
winch
lawyers.
hard. Then went to the
I
asshole's
moved to the
residence and
mast and
spoke with
freed
his
the
wife. I
I
looked back to see
apologized
Jeff
for the
with Ethan in
disruption,
front of him,
and she
gently
gently
commiserated.
commiserated.
We have some housekeeping duties.
Carolyn's
Then we can
older
think
brother,
about dinner.
Anthony, was only
My
3
menu
years
says
her
spaghetti with
senior.
meat sauce. He owned
Is
his
that
own
okay?
construction company. The kids
There were
love
rumors
spaghetti
that he
and
was
I'm
involved
easy.
with the
As
mafia.
long as it's edible,
A few years
I'm good.
ago,
his son got into some
Jeff
difficulties with
grinned.
drugs, and I pulled some
After some
strings.
basic chores like
It is
cleaning the
99%
bathrooms and
legal
tidying
and
our
cleared
cabins,
out.
then we
Captain
put
Jeff
him in
got
the
the
program
twins
and got him
involved in
cooking
cooking
down.
dinner, and now
I
he's in
watched
his
from the
3rd year in
bench behind the
seminary and
dining
doing
table.
well. He seemed to
Needless to
enjoy
say,
it.
I was his
He had the
favorite
kids
brother-in-law,
helping with
so this
small
was most
tasks
likely
like
not a
cooking the
social call.
spaghetti and sauce. Tony
Preparing
preparing
garlic
garlic
bread.
My kids
and
getting
greeted me.
salad
They
ingredients
adored
from
him.
the fridge.
His wife Teresa
Ethan,
and their 3
who
children,
usually hated green
broke
vegetables,
out of their grasp,
turned up his
turned
nose
to me
at the
and said,
salad.
"Back porch."
Jeff then told a
We walked
story
to the
about
back porch,
Popeye, the
and he
sailor
turned to me
man,
and asked,
and how spinach
"What the hell
made
is
him
going
strong."
on?
He promised to
Carolyn
show
is
Ethan
not
the
feeling
Popeye
well at her
cartoons
parents'
before
place
bedtime.
bedtime.
Her father is
Whatever
8
I
years
do,
later.
it will come
he
back
owned
and
4
bite me.
smaller boats
I
and
know
part
what
of
I
the
want to
marina.
do, so no offense.
He spent his time
She's not
doing
worth
custom
going to jail
charters
for.
and managing managing the marina.
He looked me directly in the
He
eyes
listened
and
to my
said,
story and
"Don't worry, I'll
sympathized.
take care of it.
Are
you
you
still
going to get a
family?
divorce when you get
It will
back?
not return to haunt you.
I'm
I will
not
not
sure.
hurt my sister.
Divorce laws are
but he will
tough.
get his.
She would get
That
half
will
of
level the
everything.
score.
The house
Brother
until the
Tony,
kids are
do not
grown,
do this.
alimony, child
I
support,
said,
and I'd only see
"Do
the kids
what?"
a few times
He
a
asked.
month and on some
He
holidays.
turned away before I
That's
could
not
say
an
anything
option
else.
for me. So on
Jeff
Thursday,
nodded.
my wife received
I had more
divorce
questions.
papers at her parents'
Why are you
residence.
okay with having kids
she
on
passed
board?
out.
Most
and they
charter
had to
captains
transport
won't
her
do
to
it.
the ER. She
Jeff
remained
sighed
in the
and took a
hospital
drink
for
of his
around
beer.
a week. Then
My
she returned
ex-wife got
home to her
custody of our
parents'
kids.
house.
Her
When I
father
moved here,
came
she
to
wouldn't
speak
let
with
them
me.
visit even for
Couldn't
vacations.
we solve this
I lost touch
somehow?
with them.
He asked.
Now they have kids,
Didn't you
and
see
I've
what I
never
gave
seen
you?
my grandkids.
Yes, but she
Having
clearly
kids
made a
like yours
mistake.
around fills a gap
My
in my
mistake?
heart. I shouted.
I could see the pain on his
Scratching the
face.
car was a
It
mistake.
made me worry about
Failure
my own
to pay a bill
situation.
was a mistake.
Then he asked a
Sleeping with
surprising
someone else
question.
for 17
Where
years
is your
and
wife
becoming
on this?
I don't
Jeff
need to
was
meet
at the
you.
navigation
Her lawyer
station
said we should
focused on the
behave
tablet.
civilized and nail
The
the
smell
plan.
of coffee filled the air.
Jeff
He
looked
looked
up
up
slightly.
and grinned.
They began to
Coffee's on the
negotiate.
stove.
After 4 hours,
Mugs
they
are
had gone
hanging on
through
hooks.
everything but reached no
I
agreement.
quickly poured a
I
mug of
vetoed
hot
everything
black
and
coffee
even
and
withdrew a
moved to
few
look at the
items.
tablet.
Then she exploded,
It was a weather
saying I was
map
being
of some
unreasonable.
sort.
I'd the
So why
father
are we
on
going?
the birth certificate. For a
She
couple
gave
$100,
birth to a
you
boy
can buy
weighing
day
3 kilograms
kilograms
for you and your family.
My lawyer
You can do
filed
things
for
like
DNA testing
paragliding
and
or
voila.
scuba lessons that
He
I
wasn't
can't
my child.
offer.
Furthermore,
That
he
sounds
wasn't
fun.
the jerk's
And the
child
kids would
either.
love it.
She had also
And we
cheated on
might
her
see
lover.
the easy play.
The divorce went through,
I'm
and
not
I was
sure if I
finally
wanna
free.
see them.
I immediately
Why would
became
I?
very popular
Jeff
on the
grinned
singles
with a
market.
bit of mischief in
My
his
daughter
eyes.
told me I was considered
You
a
spent
punk.
a lot of money
My
on this
son
last
warned
minute
me to
trip.
be careful.
You might as well
otherwise
get some
you might get
satisfaction
attacked.
if you know what I mean.
I went to visit my brother-in-law
I
and
thought
we
about
shared
it.
a couple of beers.
It would be interesting to
Finally,
sail
I
by that
asked him if he
catamaran
knew what
so
happened
they'd
to the
know we
jerk.
weren't just
Who's
sitting
that?
at home.
He asked, raising an eyebrow.
How will the kids react
Don't
to
worry
seeing
about
their
it,
mom?
I said. The
I
family
went on some
island has a
dates, but my heart
supervised
wasn't in
child
it.
care area.
The
About
kids
2
can have
years
fun
later,
there
Tony
while
and
you
Teresa
explore.
threw a party at a bar.
I imagine
Everyone was
sailing
invited,
by the
including
easy
my
play,
ex-wife.
standing
the
on the
kids
deck
stayed
of
away
the
from her and the guy
65-foot
she brought
vessel
along,
and waving at
However,
my
her little
wife and her
boy was
friends.
charming.
A little
My daughters
payback might
literally
feel good.
flocked to him.
Jeff,
My
you're a
now
sneaky guy.
18-year-old
And I
daughter
like
brought a
it.
young man to the
How
party.
long until we
He
get
seemed
there?
okay, but he was
A
still
couple of
being
hours.
vetted. I'll make
Actually,
more
I
arrangements
liked
soon.
him.
But
You can
don't
get
tell
day
her about
passes
the
for
guy
you
who
and the
came with
kids,
her
and I'll
mother was
find out
dying
where the
my
easy
daughter.
play is.
I
From
spent
the
over the
kids.
last 4 months.
I tidied up
It
the
was
deck
critical
and
for
put the
her and the
mooring
company.
stick away.
If the project
Jeff's
was not
insistence
finished,
on a neat
Bixler
boat was
Enterprises
rubbing off
faced
on me.
serious
As
financial
I headed
difficulties.
back, I saw Jeff lowering
Sarah
the
earned a
inflatable
bachelor's
dinghy at the
degree from
stern.
Albright, the
And
twins
an MBA
watched
from
closely.
Wharton.
She was the
Jeff
brightest
grinned
member of our
at me.
family. I started my
usually
work
swim
as an
to
auto
shore, but
mechanic
with the
right
kids,
after high school.
we'll take
and
the
I've been
dinghy.
doing it for 21
I
years.
need to visit the harbor
I didn't
master.
mind because I
And you need
enjoyed
to get
the
your
work and was
passes.
fairly compensated.
I'll also ask about
it was
the
enough
easy
to pay
play.
for Sarah's education and
I helped
maintain 2
Jeff and the
children.
kids into
we were
the
not
dinghy,
living
and
lavishly,
then climbed in
but we were
myself.
doing well.
The engine
The
roared
kids
to
had
life,
moved
and we
away,
sped
and
toward
things
the
were
pier.
rather solid
Jeff
financially.
went to the marina office,
Sarah
and
was
I
pregnant
went to the
3
island
months
office.
after we married.
The
At the
kids
age
were
of
thrilled
18
by the volleyball
For the
games
first
on
few
the
years
beach
of our
and the
marriage,
speedboats towing
my parents were our
parasailers.
primary caregivers.
It took me about 45
They possessed
minutes
a
to make all the
vast, uninhabited
arrangements.
home.
I had to show
My
our
4
passports,
siblings had
but
relocated.
Jeff had warned me.
This meant
so
that
I had
Sarah
them in
had
a
a
waterproof
caregiver
pouch
during her
on my
first
waist.
years of college.
The main
As soon as they
engagements.
sat in the dinghy,
I had always avoided
with them
such
aboard,
meetings,
I tipped the
but
boat
felt
driver
forced to
and
join
climbed
her if
onto
she
the
so
deck.
chose. Jeff was holding
She appreciated
Annabelle,
the
and
gesture,
Ethan was
but
curled
said it
up
was
on the
unneeded.
cockpit cushion.
Before leaving work,
Can
she
you
carefully
carry
packed
Annabelle
her
to her
Volvo
cabin
trunk
while I
with
get
all of the
Ethan?
necessary materials and
Not a
equipment.
problem.
She
took
drove
Ethan
the
to his
car
cabin,
herself to
put him
ensure
on
that
the
everything
bed
was
and
great.
tucked him in.
She had all day
It was
Wednesday
covered in
to
sand,
prepare, and the
but I
evening to
decided to deal with
socialize
that
with
in
her
the
guests. Sarah
When
was
I
so
came around the
skilled in
corner,
her
I
part
saw
that I
Jeff
felt it
standing
would have been
over
better if
Annabelle
I
as
she
she
lay
lay
in
in
her
her
bed. She was
He had put her to
ultimately
bed without
prepared.
changing her
She
clothes.
double-checked everything.
I noticed his shoulders
Now,
rising
all she
and falling,
wanted was
almost
a
like he
soothing
was sobbing.
shower and a good
I
night's
deliberately
sleep.
closed Ethan's door
In an
a bit
attempt to
louder
be
than
helpful,
usual.
I searched
When I
through
turned
Sarah's
back,
possessions
Jeff was
while
coming
she
out
was
of
showering.
Annabelle's cabin.
As I was arranging
Bill,
things
you
on the
might not
bed,
think so,
a small
but
white
you are
envelope
still the
fell from the
luckiest guy.
side.
I expected the boat to
I
be
was not
empty while
particularly calm.
Ruth
Ruth and Shelley
What
enjoyed
exactly is wrong,
activities on
honey?
shore. It is only
But
for
all
3
three
days.
were on
You are
board.
welcome to come, but it will
Tom
most
was
likely be
lounging
dull.
on the
I'd rather not
trampoline
go
between the hulls.
But I don't enjoy leaving
Ruth
you
and
alone.
Shelley were lying on the
When
deck
you are away, I
cushions in
get
the
scared.
large cockpit
It's really
area.
sweet, sweetheart.
They were all just
Don't
relaxing
worry.
and
I will
enjoying the
not
sun.
leave the hotel at all during
I was
this
glad
trip.
for that.
The
as it meant
majority
I
of
didn't
today
have to
will be
explain
spent ensuring
anything to
sure the
kids.
conference room is ready.
I lowered the binoculars and took a deep
I'll have
breath,
a wonderful talk
ready
with
to move
possible
on and
clients
make the
tomorrow.
most of the day
I
with
doubt
my
there will
kid.
be a second to spare.
I had to show our
I will
passports,
return
but
home
Jeff
as
had
soon as
warned me
possible
about
on
that,
Friday,
so I had them ready in a waterproof
fantastic
pouch on my
weekend.
waist.
Do you comprehend?
The main delay at registration
While that
was
was
learning about all
consoling,
the
I couldn't help
activities.
but worry about
Some
your
activities like
prioritization of your
parasailing and scuba
profession over
diving
our
cost
family
extra.
life.
I passed on those for now.
Damn, John.
But signed the kids up
I've
for the
always respected
supervised
your
day
profession
program
and never
That
stated
would give me some
otherwise.
free time.
You've raised two great children
Once
and
we had
helped
our
me pursue my
passes,
studies.
we headed back to the
You're an
marina.
excellent husband, a
I
wonderful
saw Jeff
father,
sitting
and
at
a
a
dependable
table under
provider.
an-
I
not
just
a
wanted to
problem.
let you know that everything
I
has
took
been
Ethan
settled.
to his cabin.
I'm going
put him on the
downstairs
bed
now
and
to meet
tucked
some
him in.
people and eat
He was
dinner.
covered in
Have
sand,
you forgotten
but
anything?
I decided to deal
No,
with that
things
in the
are
morning.
okay.
When I
Everything
came
I
around
need
the
for tomorrow
corner,
is in
I
my
saw
room.
Jeff
Is
standing
there
over
anything you need?
Annabelle as she lay
No,
in her
John,
bed.
please relax. I'm
He
shutting
had
off
put her
my
to
phone
bed
right
without
now.
changing her clothes.
I'll call you tomorrow morning.
I noticed
Have
his
fun.
shoulders
It's not about
rising
having
and
fun,
falling,
John.
almost like
It's
he was
business.
sobbing.
I didn't look too
I
out of
deliberately
place.
closed
The
Ethan's
foyer
door a
cafe
bit louder
and meeting
than
rooms
usual.
were busy,
When I
allowing me to
turned back,
slip in
Jeff was coming
unobserved.
out of Annabelle's cabin.
There was a lovely brochure
Bill, you
outlining
might not
all
think
of the
so,
hotel
but you are
rooms.
still the
I moved
luckiest
around
guy
the
I
rooms,
know,
pausing to
even with
observe the
everything going
attendees.
on.
I was
He
unsure
quickly
of my
went back to the
conduct.
lounge,
If
leaving
Sarah
me a
spotted
bit
me, I
stunned.
would find an
By the
event
time I
schedule
checked on
detailing
Annabelle,
all of the
closed her
rooms
door and
occupied
made my
by
way to the
various
lounge,
groups.
Jeff was sitting
Bixler
at the table.
Enterprises had no
2 glasses
rooms
with
reserved
ice
for
and
Wednesday
amber
night,
liquid were on the
which
table.
I found odd.
Jeff motioned
Sarah
toward the
had said
glasses.
that she would not be leaving
That's some
the
of
hotel
the
just
finest
yet.
island
I
rum you
now
can
questioned
buy.
that statement.
It's too good to mix
There
with
were
anything.
3 dining areas. I sat
Falls.
long, but it wasn't strictly
Ruth and Shelley
platonic
were
or
lying on the
professional.
deck cushions in the
When I
large
left,
cockpit
they were on their
area.
second bottle of wine.
They were all just relaxing
Now I
and
knew why
enjoying
she
the
had packed her
sun.
beautiful undergarments.
I was glad for that.
I hid in
as
a
it
corner
meant
of
I
the
didn't have to
foyer,
explain
and
anything
10 minutes
to the
later
kids.
they left the restaurant.
I lowered
holding
the
his
binoculars
hand.
and took a
She
deep
moved
breath,
across the
ready
foyer
to
to
move
the
on
elevator
and make the most
I
of the
paid
day
close
with my
attention to the
kids.
floor indications. The
Jeff
elevator's
slowly
arrival
motored
on
between
the
the
third
boats,
floor seemed
approaching
hopeful.
the easy play.
This meant she
Tom
hadn't
glanced
entered
over
her
and
room.
didn't seem interested
However,
until I
it was
took down the
disconcerting that
binoculars
the
and
elevator
stared at
did
him.
not travel to the
Recognition
7th
hit
floor.
him and he
It indicated
exclaimed,
that she went to
"Son
his
of a
room
gun."
in case I had made a mistake.
One of the
women asked. I stayed in
What?
the foyer for an hour watching
I moved
the
closer
elevator.
to the rail as
People
Jeff
came
steered the
and
boat
left,
a few
but
meters
Sarah
from the
was not one of
catamaran.
them.
Ruth and
I
Shelley
took my
looked
empty
over and
suitcase from the
recognized me.
phone rang around an hour or two later.
I chuckled.
The phone
The
number
whole
of the prisoner
situation
was
is a threat.
displayed on the
An
caller
unhappy,
ID. Unhealthy relationship
John?
could destroy us all
Yes.
over time.
Where
I
are
don't
you?
know if I could live with
I
her
said
cheating.
simply,
I'll be
"Okay,
home soon.
what does your analysis
On the
tell
other
you?"
end, there was silence.
It wasn't in depth.
There's an old
but
saying
it
showed
among
me I couldn't
salespeople.
go back to Shelley.
The first speaker
It
loses.
would ruin me emotionally.
It felt
and
like an
hurt the
eternity
kids.
before she eventually
Divorce
spoke.
would ruin us financially
John,
and be hard on
I
the kids.
apologize.
I was stuck. She hung up without
told
asking
Jeff.
any additional questions.
He poured 2 more glasses
I
of
turned
rum.
off the phone.
Bill,
She had clearly
you're smart
returned
and
to her
methodical.
room. Later
But
that day,
sometimes
she would
those
give a
qualities can hold
presentation
you
that may
back.
save her company
Sometimes
and get
you
her
need to
promoted.
think outside the
I
box.
snatched the suitcases from the
I looked at
garage's
him,
attic.
confused.
Sarah never
The
went
rum
there
was
and never
affecting me.
considered searching there.
Huh?
By that
He
point,
laughed,
I was very
thinking
certain
outside
it didn't
the
matter
box.
anymore.
Sometimes
Initially, I
doing
gathered
what your
all of my
enemy least
clothing and
expects
personal
is the
items.
best move.
Most men have their own
I
tools,
thought about it.
which they
Through the
normally
rum
use
and
on the
emotion,
job.
his words made
I went to
sense.
the store, loaded
We
my
approached the
belongings into
mooring
the
and Jeff
Subaru,
took the
and
helm
picked
while
up
I
my
went
final
forward to
paycheck.
secure the line.
With the banks
I did it
already
in one
open,
try,
I
despite
elected
the
to
rum.
withdraw all
As
of
the
my
boat
money
settled,
from
I
my held onto
accounts.
the rigging and looked out
After
over the
that,
ocean. I had
the
lunch in
music from the
Hagerstown,
beach
Maryland.
floated over the water.
Though I had enough
I
money
heard
to
Jimmy
support
Buffett
myself for a
singing,
few years,
and his words
I knew
struck
I'd have
me.
to search
And
for
I have found
employment
me a
soon.
home, yes.
He was leaving
She
on
can
a journey.
file for abandonment
He served
and
as
get
an
everything.
avionics technician on
What
an
if there isn't
aircraft
anything to
carrier?
get?
He attempted to
I don't
explain his
follow.
profession, but
My
it was
net
too
worth is almost
complicated
$1
for
million.
me. I've never
If that money
comprehended
was
much
somewhere
about
only I
complicated
could
topics.
access, how far
Both
could we
were
go?
cautious not to
Christ,
talk
we
ill
could
of their
sail for
mother.
years with that
I
kind of
appreciated
cash.
it.
And I
Following
can work
then,
from
everything
almost
was
anywhere
routine.
with a reliable internet
I started
connection.
speaking to Gloria
Does
at
the
least
satellite
once a
system
week.
on board work
Josh
well?
and I began exchanging emails
Hell yeah,
frequently.
it does.
Gloria
But would you
communicated
really
with
take your
Sarah
kids from your
frequently,
wife?
but spoke little about her
She left them
activities
without
or
looking
whereabouts.
back.
She
I
hasn't
never
filed
called
for
or
divorce,
texted them.
and Sarah
Have
doesn't
they
appear
asked
to have
about her?
either. I have a
Legally,
Tennessee
it's
driver's
risky, but I don't
license
think
and the
twice about
Subaru's
it.
plates. I started
There
going
is
to
the
one of the
legal
local
risk.
pubs a few
You
times
could
a
be a
month and
fugitive.
became attracted to women
So
who
the
rotated
internet-
to
our
must visit the
savings
shop.
account was divided.
This elicited
With
my
a few
half
odd
going
looks
into my
and
new
eventually
checking
a
account.
response.
Shelley
This
has
has
nothing to
IRA,
do with your
which
job.
I left alone.
It's a personal issue.
We had
mutual
plan. We are willing
Over
to
a
pay
few
if
hours, I
necessary.
created accounts at
My
12 different
bone
banks
marrow.
in 12
No,
different countries.
we must use it.
At each
And we're
bank,
ready to pay
I
you
set up
for
an
any
automatic
inconvenience
forwarding system to move
I
any
assume
money
you
to the
mean to
next
buy
bank
it.
in my chain.
I was behaving
my
smart
last
and I
task was to
immediately
contact
knew
a
it.
reputable
These
Swiss
people were
bank
serious.
and set up
They had a
similar
genuine
accounts using
problem
my
and were
LLC
seeking
for
aid.
highly
And yet
rated
here we are
programs.
again.
A suitable donor. I had
She is
one
a
more
suitable
task
donor.
to finish the next
But she's
morning
too
before
sick.
we left. The physicians
The next
refused
morning,
to contemplate
the kids were sad
utilizing
to
her.
leave the island.
Kids
They
were sad to
utilizing her.
leave the island, but
What illness
understood
do
we had to go. She is dying with liver
Surprisingly,
failure.
we hadn't
she
seen
has fewer
Shelley,
than 6
Ruth, or
months left to
Tom.
live.
I was
This
ready
does
for
not
a
make any
confrontation,
sense.
but never
She's
saw
always
them.
had wonderful
I got
health.
up early and wrote an
Furthermore,
email
I
to
do
my
not
former
believe that a
boss.
diseased
I
liver will
apologized for
prohibit her
resigning
from
by
giving
email
bone
on
marrow.
short notice.
The hospital
asked for
will
any
not
remaining
accept her
money to
signed
be deposited
consent
into
form.
my new checking
Are
account.
you implying
and
there is
provided the
something
routing
wrong
and
with her
account
mind?
numbers. They both
The
stared
funds
at me
would
in
then
silence.
be forwarded through
They
my
knew the
chain
answer,
to my
but they
Swiss
didn't want to
bank.
reveal it.
I
didn't
also
want them to feel
requested
any
that
more
the
awkward
balance
at
in
that
my
moment.
investment
I
account
didn't care
be
about them
handled
10
the
minutes
same
ago.
way. But now I felt
With that, I
compelled
sat
to
back and
defend
sipped
and
my
support
coffee.
them. How does
The
this
bridges
happen?
were burned,
Could one of my
and it
children
was time
help?
for a new
Maybe.
beginning.
However,
Less
we
than
believed
2 hours
you were
later,
our best
the
hope.
port in the Virgin
Why don't you
Islands
pursue
was
your
slowly
father?
fading behind
Who is
us.
your true
And
father?
the open ocean
We believed
was
it was
ahead.
you.
But David and
I was
Marco
doing
couldn't
most of the
wait to go
sailing.
home before
The
departing.
twins were almost as
I
good at
instructed
handling
them
the
how to
boat as I
contact
was,
Gloria and
so
Josh
they were
if
a
they
big
needed
help.
them.
I
Once
was
we made it
confident
through the
they'd be
canal,
helpful.
I noticed a
They
change
also
in
told
Jeff.
me where Sarah
One
was.
evening, while anchored in a
I would
quiet
most
cove
certainly
near
be in
Pensacola
Jeff
before
was
they
sipping a
returned to
beer.
Westchester.
I was content to
I
sit
had
and
a
listen to
haircut
the
and bought
birds
a new
and monkeys
clothing.
in the nearby
Sarah
jungle.
was a cheater who had
Bill,
devastated
we
my
need to
life.
talk.
Yet
He
I
said.
still wanted to look my
I looked at
best
him.
when I met her.
Have you
It was
been
another
cheating on me,
trailer.
Jeff?
But
I
this
joked,
time it was
making
a
him
brand
laugh.
new double
Then he
wide.
got serious again.
She stood there.
Seriously,
despite
I don't
a
know
flat
how much
tire
time I
and a
have
broken
left.
windshield.
When we were in Perth,
Sarah
the
was
doctor
not
told
the
me I
woman
have
who opened
stage
the
4
door.
pancreatic
She
cancer.
appeared to have been
I'm near
drenched
the end.
heavily and left soaking
I was
wet.
stunned and
She
didn't
was
know
at
what to
least
say.
45.
You don't have to
possibly
say
50,
anything, he said.
and it had a difficult
We all know
life.
this is how life ends.
The lack of makeup
I've had a
didn't
good
help,
run,
and she simply
I have some
looked
regrets.
awful.
But I'm
I didn't have a
mostly
chance to
satisfied.
speak. Jerry
I'm
stated
glad
that
you did
Sarah
it.
lacked
Where
genuine
are we?
ambition and purpose.
Halfway to Corpus.
Sarah frequently
We'll be there in
mentioned
about
me,
12
but was
hours.
too afraid to reach
We
out.
motored into Corpus
Gloria
Christi
gave
Bay.
her my phone
A
number,
radio call
but
to
she
the
never
marina
called.
ensured us a spot
It
with
was as if
electrical
her
hookups.
brief affair had
We
wounded
found
her
it
more
easily,
than it had
and
me.
were soon docked and
I
connected
stayed
to
there
shore
for 2
power.
weeks.
Then I sold
The
Sherry's
next morning,
trailer for
Jeff
$1
called
and
his
received
daughter.
$2,000
Around
for the
lunchtime,
Volvo.
we were sitting in the
2 days
cockpit
later,
when she
I
walked
was
down
in
the pier
Westchester
to
to
see
see
my
my
new friends David
Jeff
and
got
Marcia.
up and I helped him
Malcolm.
onto the walkway.
Eugene
They
initially
stood face to
resisted,
face
but
for
David
several
and Marcia
minutes, not
persisted
knowing
until
what to
he
do.
agreed.
I
To
finally
protect his
whispered,
reputation,
"Well,
he demanded
give her a hug, you
DNA
big
tests
pirate."
that confirmed
That
his
broke the
paternity.
ice.
They
They fell into each
reluctantly
other's
agreed to
arms,
undergo a
sobbing.
bone marrow transplant.
After a few
which
minutes, I
proved
beckoned them onto the
successful.
boat.
Malcolm's
Jeff
political
introduced
and
us.
personal life left
Bill,
a negative impression.
this is Priscilla, my
his
daughter.
popularity
I don't
plummeted
even know
so
what last
rapidly
name
that his
she's
party
using.
succeeded him. A
I'm
few months
Priscilla
before the
Johansson.
election,
Just
up and hugged
But it's
Priscilla.
not insignificant.
It's time you got back
Do
some
I
of what
stay
you
with
missed
him
and give him another
When did my
chance?
daughter become
or
so
do I
wise?
leave because of this?
I looked at her
Any
in
thoughts
awe.
would be greatly
Ethan,
appreciated.
in his usual
Maybe
way,
I am
broke
to
the
blame.
tension. My ex
I'm
cheated on
hungry.
me while he was
What's for
deciding
dinner?
between us.
We all chuckled.
In the end,
I looked at everyone.
He picked her.
If Jeff feels
This
up
was
to
our
it, I'll
second
pay for
try
dinner
at the
out
relationship.
tonight. Priscilla,
I feel
do you have any
toxic from the
suggestions?
first attempt. I know
I was
just the
unhelpful
place if you
around the
like fresh
house.
seafood. Would complain
Seafood
frequently
is
or
about
be
all
grumpy.
we get most of the
I was
time.
overspending because of
She
my
thought for a
shopping
moment.
addiction and had neglected
How
my
about some
physical
down-home
appearance.
Tex-Mex?
We were 3
It
weeks
sounded
from
good to
getting
me, and the
married.
kids seemed interested.
I can't get over the fact that
We
I
gathered
couldn't keep it
ourselves and
together
started
for
up the
3
pier.
more weeks just to
Oh, I
marry
forgot.
this man.
We don't have a car.
Can
He
you fit
began
5 of
seeing
us?
her after things
Of
ended
course,
with
my
us the
Tahoe
first time
is
he
big
discovered
enough.
who he truly wanted to be
After
with.
a delicious dinner of
I can't help but
enchiladas,
think that she would
tostadas,
never have been
tacos,
more than a
tamales, and
co-worker to him
chalupas.
if I hadn't
We
pushed
finished with
myself
sopa
into
pillas,
unhappiness and
butter,
sought
and fresh
happiness
Texas
elsewhere.
honey.
I was
Yes.
messaging since September
What I now
2012.
know is that my mother was
They
a
were just
cruel and
talking about
selfish
normal
woman.
things.
She cheated on my father
She
for
called him
years.
cute twice,
She finally
which
met
I
a
did not
man and
find
decided to
particularly
leave.
offensive.
Dad was a
They weren't
firefighter.
talking much, so I didn't
She found
think
a
much of
banker
it.
who seemed wealthy.
I wondered
but
if
he
she
started
was writing
cheating
to
on
other
her
guys
soon
like
after
this
they married.
because she didn't even
2
say
years
she was
later,
writing to
that
him.
relationship ended when she was
So
caught
I checked
cheating
her
with her
block
husband's
friends.
boss. And who would have guessed that
This
the
led
last
to
time
another
she
marriage
wrote
and
to one was
eventually
on October
another
24th
divorce.
of last year. By then, I was living
reviewed
on
the
my
messages,
own, trying
and
to
discovered
build a
she had been
life.
sending them
My
explicit
mother had
photos.
turned us against
Around
my
6
father.
o'clock,
She
kept
sent
us
from
multiple
him
messages.
and used her money
She
to
texted
fight
them
him
when she felt
He
aroused,
cashed in his
lonely,
pension,
drunk,
gave
or
my
high.
mother half as the court
The
ordered,
conversation
and left.
between her and a guy
We never
was
saw him again
particularly
until a few
intriguing.
months ago when he
They seemed to be
reconnected with me.
dining. She sent
And
him
you?
explicit photos and videos.
I married
and
early
he
at
responded.
19.
They
My husband
complimented
had
each
family
other and
money from
spoke
oil
almost
in
every
West
day.
Texas and wanted
However,
to be a pop
advice
time
and would
by now.
like to know what
I
other
looked
people would
across the
do in
dark
this
pool,
situation.
reflecting the
Thank
pale
you for
moonlight.
listening to today's story.
Priscilla was quiet.
If you enjoyed this
I heard
art,
I didn't want my kids to
Before
live
I
like
forget,
that.
I am a police
I
sergeant.
wanted them to have
My youngest
stability
kid collapsed
and
at
love.
daycare around 2 months ago.
I understand.
And my wife was unable
And your
to lift
kids
her
have
up.
benefited from
Dad
that.
rushes to help.
They are are
I
well-rounded,
rushed into my car with
cultured,
flashing lights and
knowledgeable,
chased
and
after
polite.
her. She was
You've done a
sucking on
great
a
job.
lollipop on a stick
But they
while
are
sniffling.
old enough now to make
I
their own
approached her,
judgments.
examined her.
Don't you think it's
kissed
time to
her,
let them
and
decide what
tousled
they
her
think
hair.
about their mother?
The elder ones would not allow
It felt like a light
but she
came on in
enjoys
my
it.
darkened soul.
I left her giggling
I took a
and went
deep
to
breath.
speak with the principal.
Priscilla,
She
first
informed
off,
me
your
Gidget
father had as
fallen
much to
and
do
had
in
injured
raising
her
those
leg.
two children as
They
I
called
did.
for an ambulance,
They learned as
and it
much
will
from
arrive
him as from
shortly.
me.
I went to
If
sit
we
with
hadn't
my
been
kid
together
and she
and spent
soon
the last
began
5
giggling
years
again.
on that boat,
A doctor from the
things would have
emergency
been very
service
different.
visited and advised her
I
to go
also
to the
think you have
emergency
inherited a
department
lot of
for
your dad's
sutures.
wisdom.
So I
You've
escorted
opened
the
my
ambulance
eyes,
to the ER.
and now I see what I need
I
to
attempted
do.
to reach my wife,
It
but
won't
the
be
call
easy,
went to voicemail.
and I'm not sure
I
how
left
it
a
will
message
end.
and then used the
But you may
location
have saved
app
me.
because Lenny was often missing.
I want to apologize to both of you.
She asked.
I
I'm in
did
the
something
hospital.
wrong.
The infant is okay.
I thought
Where
I was
are you
doing
now?
it for the best
I could not
reasons,
reach your
but
phone.
now I see it was
I'm at
selfish.
the office. I'm on my way to the
I'm going to
hospital
try to
now.
fix my
Drive
mistake.
carefully, I said.
Hang
The
away
lawyer,
from her
the
like
chief
I
of the
did.
detective department,
She may have
and
forgotten
informed him
that
that
she
I
loved
needed the
me.
rest of the week
But
off.
I'm sure
to
she
attend
never
to
stopped
family
loving you.
problems. I took
Is
that
everything
away from
all
her.
right?
He
And it was
asked.
wrong.
Yes, sir. I
Dad,
only need to see
you
one of
never
the physicians
punished us.
about my children.
Yes, I
All
did.
right, please keep me
I
posted.
took you away from your
I got
mother,
it, Chief.
who loved you very much.
About 20 minutes later, the
I
doorbell
took from
rang.
you that relationship.
I felt physically
the chance
ill when
to
I
have her
saw her,
presence
but I
and
took
her
a deep
love in
breath
your
and
lives.
counted to 10.
To participate
I hardly
in
got
your
to 7
growing up.
before she knocked on the door.
I robbed you
Where
of the
is
very
she?
things that
She
Jeff
yelled.
was robbed of by
I
his
told her to
ex-wife.
relax and that she was asleep.
It was only when I heard the
She
pain
swept
in
past
Priscilla's
me and into
voice
the
as she
baby's
talked
bedroom.
about growing up,
I started
wondering why
making
her
a to-do
father
list
had
for
quit
tomorrow.
loving her.
Divorce
It
lawyer,
tore me
DNA
up.
test, and
And
electronics
I
store.
intend to try to
She
fix
hurried
it.
out of the bedroom and towards
I could
me.
see tears in my children's eyes.
She demanded.
From
From the
the
airport in our old
Really,
hometown
Mom?
to a
He
downtown
said.
location. Caroline paused,
My attorney
blushing
had come
intensely,
through us
into
and
the
said,
building.
Junior
Annabelle
merely
took the
nodded.
lead and made the
How about a
appointment
pizza?
in her name.
I asked.
Annabelle
I
rang
called
the bell
and
at the
ordered
door,
pizza.
and a disembodied
They returned
voice.
30
It was chilly
We
between
all
us
took a
that
seat.
night, so
Cameras,
I was in good
maybe
shape
somewhere more
because my
comfortable.
wife made more than I
Shelley
did.
looked around,
Furthermore,
gathered herself, and
due
began
to her
to issue
age,
orders.
my
It was
older
clear
daughter
she
could
was in
choose
charge.
who she wanted to live
Of
with.
course. Stan,
I
take my
approached the
children
friend
and ex-husband
and
to the
requested him
lounge.
to set up
I will be there in a
surveillance
few
on my
minutes.
wife and
I
her
need to speak
companion.
to my secretary
He
and
was a
clear
good
my
friend
schedule for
that
this
I had
afternoon.
previously worked with him. We were soon sitting
wouldn't
in a
be too
nicely
expensive.
You can take this in
We will
any
get through
direction you
this.
want.
You can take this in
We will
any
get through
direction you
this.
want. I promise.
She leaned.
I promise.
She leaned back.
The youngest
eyeing
chirped.
me suspiciously.
Eyeing me suspiciously.
I suppose you should get some cheek
What if I
swabs
tell you
for
I
us,
want the
Dad?
kids to stay
It
here
may
with me?
help your case.
I can enroll
It
them
would
in
never
school when
affect
the
how
next
I
term
felt about
starts.
you.
However, I felt a
It would
pang
be
of pain and
wonderful
saw
to
the
know
kids'
how
eyes
fast
go
she
wide
is.
at that
The
suggestion.
youngest is correct, Dad.
But I stuck to my plan.
I want to know because I don't
If
feel
that's
much
what you
affection
want,
for
Shelley,
her
I
right
will
now.
accept it. I was
But
stunned.
they need to be
Yet I felt
evaluated
bad
before
for them.
they enroll.
All right, let's
They've been
finish this before
homeschooled,
she gets home.
so they might need some
mentioned
extra
I
help to
performed
get
cheek
back into a
swabs.
regular classroom.
There's the first.
Spend
followed
some
by
time
mine.
with them.
I
I
get to
zipped
know
them
them
up and
again
stored them in
and
my
see how they
briefcase.
feel about this
The
plan.
next day,
They
I
are
went
both
to an
16 years
independent
old.
lab and asked
In
them
2
to
years,
perform
they will
a
be
DNA
considered
expression
adults
study
and can decide for
It cost
themselves
a little
what they
extra,
want to do.
but I wanted
It's
it
up to
done
you
as soon
now.
as possible.
I
2
don't
weeks
think
later,
Shelley
I
really
received the
believed me.
results.
I stayed
None of the
quiet in
kids,
his corner, but your
sneaked
thoughts about
around
those
it,
other people were
exited the
more
area,
important than
and
us.
proceeded to the building's
When it came
back
down
gate.
to it,
I looked
all
around
that
the
mattered
corner
was
and
that
saw
you
my
got
wife.
what you wanted.
Her son's
no matter
dress
the
was pulled up
cost.
to her waist,
I have to
exposing her
give the
tits
new
to the
Shelley
sun
her
and
due.
breeze.
He
She
had her,
listened without
and she kept
interrupting,
moaning
She
and
didn't
groaning
explode
the
like the
entire
old
time.
Shelley. Her white
I could
lace
see she was
panties were
upset,
laying on
but
the
she
floor.
held her tongue until
A bright
she could
bulb
speak
went off in my
calmly.
head, and I am
When
grateful
she
to my
did,
lucky stars
it was
for
to
this
the
stroke
kids.
of luck. I
Do you
turned off the
remember it the
camera
way
and
your
took a few
father tells it?
photographs. I brought out my
Annabelle
phone.
looked at her brother
I waited
and then
until
back
their
at her
peak.
mother.
Then I reached
Even
for
at
his
home,
stupid
Dad was
looking
always
man.
the one who was there.
You were
grabbed
fun,
it and dragged him
and I know
away
you
from my
loved
wife.
us.
But I
I
remember
whirled him
wondering why
around
you
and hit
always
him in
seemed
the face with my
annoyed
right
with Dad,
fist,
making
breaking his
fun of him
nose
and
and
never
left
standing up
cheekbone.
for him. Kids
I also
notice
managed
those
to break
things.
something with my hand.
Shelley dropped her eyes
He
and
collapsed
looked at
on
her
the ground,
hands.
senseless.
When she
and
looked up, her
Carolyn
eyes
slid
were
down the
slightly
red.
red.
I learned they were
Leave them
adjusting
at the
well,
crime
but
scene
were
for the
struggling
men.
with the changes of living inland
helped her
and in a
get to her
condo.
feet.
She
Shelley
sobbed,
took my advice and
inhaled
had both
deeply
children
and settled.
tested before enrolling
We
them
crossed
in the
the
lawn
lawn
behind
behind
the
the
house to the backyard.
I was proud when I learned
As we
that
got both
closer
of
to
them
10,
tested above
the
high
people
school
outside
level went silent.
It was
Priscilla, and I was feeling cheerful when
Then
I
two
answered.
feeling cheerful
Then
when I
two more
answered.
cops
More cops cops arrived.
Pris.
Arthur
What's up, hey,
arrived.
Pris?
Arthur
What's
with
up
a
today?
swollen face and
My
hands
mood
shackled behind
instantly
his back.
changed when I heard her
He
voice.
made the mistake of
It
claiming
was
they had an
strained and
understanding,
emotional.
and the intimacy
Bill.
was voluntary.
Dad passed just a few minutes
Unfortunately,
ago.
his wife heard him.
Can
and
you come to the
attacked him.
hospice center, please?
You son of a bitch.
I'm on my way.
They restrained her
I
again.
told the
and she
yardmaster
stated,
the situation,
"You will
and he
hear from my
understood.
lawyer." I ran to my rental car and drove quickly to the hospice center where Jeff had been staying the last few weeks. My wife. Once there, I found Priscilla standing just outside the door to his room. Because it was Saturday, he couldn't be tried until Monday. Jeff's doctor were handling the last details, but his wife had without a word to it. Priscilla came to me. I returned to wrap my arm with ice and poured the amber liquid. He looked at me like I had two heads. Handing me a glass, she lifted hers away. I turned to an old pirate, father, friend, and companion. My children, and they glanced at me. I lifted my glass and drained it. Where is Mom? We went out visiting your patio pool deck and found our chairs. She will be there for a while. We had spent many evenings in the past few months getting to know each other. I'll save you the nasty details and chatting, often with laughs and giggles and sniffles. I watched her and saw why I did what I did that came from strength. But they don't comprehend why she did what she did. I don't know. Welcome to the club. I haven't had a chance to think about it. Dad went to gather about what he wanted. Videos, photos, she chuckled, surveillance reports. I asked receipts him for anything I had. He always said, "Do whatever I wanted." For a total make any difference to him anyway. With the exception of the DNA test results, and gave it to me. I hired a lawyer and initiated the divorce process. I guess I can restraining order based on the police report and rape case. Isn't there some sort of legal procedure? The DNA results in a folder for the lawyers. Then went to the asshole's residence and spoke with his wife. I just want to let this all sink in. I apologized for the disruption. Please stay with me. And she gently and their 3 children. As I had pulled the boat into the slip, I said to you, he would not let me see. Let's go get some dinner. Your sister has been cheating on me for 17 years. Not far from the pier. Neither of my children are biologically mine. Fallen in love with it. She spread her charms everywhere. They almost always had fresh oysters and lots of cold beer. She probably doesn't either. We settled in a booth and ordered. Digit's father is her current boss, Arthur Dash. My brothers will be here tomorrow. She also carries a sexually area. Will come back. Was introduced to their wives and kids. I know what I want to do, so no offense. And then sort of faded into the background as they all huddled like families in the eyes and said, when the clerk ushered them into the hearing room, are you still using him as your husband's child? The judge having sex with him was not a mistake. I'm just glad the kids were at day camp when I laid into their grandfather. It might be easier if I calmed down and told him to sign the will rather than try to read it if that meets everyone's approval. He was unhappy with both of us. Everyone agreement. I vetoed everything and even withdrew a few items. The clerk gathered the papers. Then she exploded, saying I was being unreasonable. I dropped a hydrogen bomb. I heard chairs moving. Okay, you answer one question truthfully and I'll reconsider. Angry reactions from Jeff's family. I pressed the play button on the DVD player. I felt a hand take mine, breaking my started with Caroline and looked around to find the family member standing close by. It was footage from the dash cam what to do. I tried to make amends. She had never seen it. I'm sorry. Never even suspected. I had no idea Jeff planned this. It continued until she pulled out the blue lace panties. Priscilla chuckled and squeezed my hand. Her face was ashen and her jaw was there when the table at the meeting. I knew what was in it. Tell me, where are the anniversary panties? I spoke with my brothers, but often glanced my way. I liked him. Finally, I filled in the gaps. Don't tell her about the guy who came when her mother was eyeing my daughter. Over the next couple of hours, I did a lot of talking my daughter with any actions and words closely. It told me a lot. He continued to loom over Priscilla and her brothers, I was about to intervene when her young man friend joined her. James was even a firefighter like his dad in a Dallas suburb. Stay out of this, kid. Killed in Afghanistan. You should feel comfortable. Teresa looked me in the eyes and said, "Great, thanks." I told her all about you. She returned with a mug about you. She returned with a mug of coffee. You can help each other. I had finished tidying up and joined her at the table for a month and Sarah's education and maintained 2 children. My brothers wanted to join us, so it'll probably be all of us there. The kids had moved away and things were rather solid financially. Do it your way. I'll support you however I can. 3 months after we married at the age of 18. Today is Tuesday. For the first few years of leaving Friday morning. My parents got home. She wore dark shorts and a flower print blouse, grinning broadly as she approached the boat. High-level corporate affairs board members and businessmen from Europe, Asia, and South America visited the company. Paid for their travel expenses. Don't be stayed at the Raisin Hotel. Help me onto the boat. It was extremely expensive, and according to Sarah, the corporation was most likely exaggerating its financial situation. And I was as happy as I could remember. Presentation was important. I may have held her hand a little longer than necessary. 200 employees. She dropped her eyes, and I thought I saw a blush as I let go. Sarah
nothing keeping
returned
us
home
here.
dressed in a
Let's
new
start
gray
this
suit with a
adventure.
white shirt.
Hey,
And said
listeners,
everything she
if you
needed on the
enjoyed
guest
watching
room
this
bed.
video
After
if
9
necessary.
p.m. and I was really
Initially,
tired.
I assumed it was for
The twins had
anxiety
just
or
gone to
tension.
bed, but the
I picked
ambiguous
up the
instructions
6-year-olds from
simply
school
led to
at
further
4 p.m.,
queries, which meant I had
The
to leave
prescription
work
was
early.
dated Monday, and
Once they
bore
were
her
in the
name,
car,
which
we
added
went
to
home.
the mystery.
I rushed to make
I replaced
dinner,
the envelope
played
with
right
them
as she
for
was
an
finishing
hour,
her shower,
and then spent another
I vowed
hour
to learn
trying to
more
get
about
them ready
Previn
for
before
bed.
speaking with her.
I was worn
Naturally, revealing it
I
would
got
show
up
that
and
I had been
slowly
looking
made
through
my
her
way upstairs
possessions.
to the bedroom.
I abhorred
leaving my
dilemmas.
clothes scattered on the floor
While Sarah
as
was
I headed
prepared
for
for
bed.
bed, I looked on
I
our
lay
home
down
computer.
on top of the bedspread
After
in
about
my
10
boxers
minutes, I joined
and
my
quickly
wife
fell
in
asleep.
bed. I
When the
remained
alarm
awake
went
all
off at
night,
6 a.m.,
bewildered
I
as to
groaned
why
and
my
rolled
wife had
over.
obtained
One
on
of those
Friday,
as husband and wife,
guaranteeing a fantastic
warning signs
weekend.
started flashing
Do you
as I listened to
comprehend?
her.
Well,
You
that
have a
was
great
consoled
job,
room
flags,
phone
and
and
I'll
a
call
strong
you
wind.
anytime possible.
I looked at her
I helped
face
her
and
to
saw
pack the
an
car.
eager look. She was
There
as
was no
particular
guilt in her
about it as
eyes.
she was about her job.
So you want to get some
It would take her
counseling?
3 hours to
That
get to
shouldn't
the
be a
proper
problem.
hotel.
No,
I
let
saw
me
her drive
explain.
away from our porch.
You know Tom and Ruth.
I didn't mention the medicines.
I nodded.
I spent
Tom
the
and
remainder
Ruth
of the
lived a
morning
few
on the
houses
porch,
down from us.
more frightened
I didn't
than
know
ever.
them well.
I felt
I
small
knew that Tom
and
was in real
outclassed.
estate and Ruth owned
I was
a
a
women's
small
boutique.
town guy with a basic
didn't have
career
any
and a
kids.
successful wife.
Tom
We were
and
not
Ruth
a
have
good
a
match.
sailboat in the
I
Virgin
should have
Islands.
recognized it sooner. From the
I felt
pictures I've
ridiculous.
seen, it's really
The
nice.
best
clothing I owned was
They
a blue
invited me to
blazer
go
and
down to the
pants.
islands for a week
I
to
did have a
sail
couple
around the
ties,
Caribbean.
though. They were a decade
I've never
old.
done something like this.
The landline
And
rang
I think it
just
might
as
help
I
me
finished
figure
dressing.
out why I feel like
Hi,
I'm missing
sweetheart.
something in
I just
my
wanted
life.
to confirm that I arrived safely.
I finished my beer
Was
and
your
set the
drive
bottle
satisfactory?
down.
I assume the
When is
traffic
this
was
supposed
light.
to happen?
It was fine. I'll call
We're
you
leaving
tonight.
on Sunday
I
and
have to
coming
go
back
now.
the following Sunday
I'm in
night.
room 714.
I can't take a week off
Sarah,
on such
I
short
could stay
notice.
tonight with my parents
Plus,
or
it will be
brothers.
almost impossible
If you needed
to
to
find
reach
someone
me on
to
my
take care
cell
of the
phone,
twins
all of
for a
them
week
rang.
with only 2 days
I adore
notice.
you. Glass
She
candlesticks.
will have a great time.
I extinguished
It's so
mine,
relaxing on the
moaning
boat.
from the
She'll come
discomfort
back
of
like
my
a new
glaucoma,
person.
and then
I
ordered
glanced
my
at my wife,
customary
but she was
chicken
still
dish.
staring at the table.
We are settling in for
I
the
don't
evening.
want a new person.
The waiter replenished
I like
my
the one I
coffee for
have.
the third time.
That made
Please
all three
excuse
of
me?
them look unsure.
And the chap across the
Tom
room
stammered
looks
a
quite
bit before
familiar.
he spoke again.
Do you happen to know him?
Shelley
Sure.
said you would be
This is
okay with
Malcolm
her
Eugene
going on
Foote.
this trip.
He is a member of the
Shelley
conference
was
and
wrong.
plans to run for
I'm
Congress
completely
in the
against
next
her going
years.
on a vacation to the
Is that his
Caribbean on
wife
such
beside
short
him?
notice with people
She
we
is
barely
pretty
know.
lovely. Leaving her kids
No,
and husband
this is
alone.
my first
time seeing her with him.
Tom looked
He
nervously
always
at
chooses
Ruth.
that table for
Ruth took
significant
over.
events with women.
We're not strangers.
If you get my
Shelley
point.
and I have been having coffee
I
together
simply
often.
smiled at the waiter
I
and
looked at
ordered the
Shelley.
check.
She was still staring at
I'd
the
never
table.
seen Sarah be so
I
focused
thought you
on a
worked
man.
at the shelter
She
every
seemed to
day.
cling on every
Shelley
word as if
spoke
he were a
softly.
god.
I cut back my
Their
hours a few
interaction
weeks
was
ago.
nothing wrong,
I work in
but
the
it wasn't
afternoons
strictly
now.
platonic or
More
professional.
things started making
When I
sense
left,
in my
they
mind.
were on their second bottle
Another
of wine.
decision you made without
now I
telling
knew
me.
why she had
Is there
packed her
anything else you
beautiful
want to share?
undergarments.
She
I
shook
hid
her
in a
head.
corner of the foyer.
Ruth tried to
and
lighten
10
the
minutes
mood.
later, they left the
Shelley
restaurant
and I have
holding
become
his
close.
hand.
We have a lot
She
of the
moved
same
across
interests.
the foyer to the
We're
elevator.
excited to do some
I paid
sunbathing,
close attention
swimming,
to
and
the
shopping
floor
on the
indications.
islands.
The elevator's
I looked at
arrival
Tom.
on the third floor
And what will
seemed
you be
hopeful.
doing?
This meant
the
she hadn't
usual,
entered her
taking
room.
care of the boat.
However,
That's the
that
risk
day
you're
she would give a
taking.
presentation that may
I
save
pushed
her
my chair
company
back
and
and
get her
stood up.
promoted. I
Since
snatched
Shelley
the
invited you
suitcases from
here
the
without
garage's
asking me,
attic.
I see
Sarah
no
never
reason to
went
stay
there
any
and never
longer.
considered searching there.
She can have her
By
friends
that
over
point, I
whenever
was
she
very
wants.
certain it didn't matter
I'm
anymore.
tired,
Initially,
and
I
I'm going to
gathered
bed.
all of my clothing and personal
I left
items.
without saying goodbye.
Most men have their own
Upstairs,
tools,
I changed
which
clothes,
they normally
turned
use
out
on
the
the
lights,
job.
and got into bed.
I went to the store,
I lay on my
loaded my
side with my
belongings
back to
into the
Shelley's side
Subaru,
of the bed.
and picked up my
I
final
fell asleep
paycheck.
easily.
With the
I don't
banks
know how
already
long Tom
open,
and Ruth
I
stayed
elected to
talking with
withdraw
Shelley.
all of my
I didn't
money
wake
from
up
my
when she came to
accounts.
bed. I usually
After
sleep
that,
in a little on
I had lunch in
Saturdays.
Hagerstown,
When I
Maryland.
got up,
Though
put
I had
on
enough
work
money to
clothes and
support
made
myself
coffee.
for a few years,
I'm not big on breakfast,
I knew I'd have to
so I
search
soon
for
went
employment
outside to
soon.
mow the lawn.
Sarah
Saturdays
and
are
I
my
both
day to
valued
catch
our
up on
on housework and then spend the afternoon in the pool with the twins if the weather is nice. I spent a few hours at Luray Caves before renting a hotel. Shelley didn't talk much, just once a week. And soon I was part of the conversation. Josh and I began exchanging emails. One of the women asked if I was a single communicated with Sarah for getting the twins to bed just after 9. I was thinking about this over a beer one day when I realized it had been nearly 5 years since I left home. The teacher was disorganized as I walked in with coffee. I rarely had company, therefore I didn't
Either
clean
you
much.
won something
My
or your
girlfriends
wife
preferred
came
that we
home.
visit their home.
Which is it?
Please accept my
Neither.
invitation.
I have a
Allow me to
request.
quickly put on some
Okay,
trousers
I'm
before going
listening.
to bed.
I have
I
almost
left the
3
door
months of
open to
leave
demonstrate
saved
how
up.
hospitable I am.
Yeah?
I also wore a
I want
shirt.
to take 10
Would you
days
like
starting
coffee?
tomorrow.
It will just take
What?
approximately 10 minutes.
That's short notice?
I cleared
I
some of
shrugged.
the objects
He
from the
couldn't
sofa
say no.
so they could sit.
I had the time
They didn't
saved
accept
up and
the
could
coffee
use it as I
offer.
wished.
We have
Okay,
a
I'll do
4-year-old
the
adopted
paperwork.
daughter and a
Can I
2-year-old
ask what
who
you're
both
doing?
require bone
I'm
marrow
taking the
transplants.
kids on vacation.
We're hoping you can
Are
help.
you joining your
We are
wife?
willing to pay if
I'm not sure
necessary.
yet.
My
By the
bone
time I
marrow.
picked up the kids
No,
from school,
we
I
must
had
use
everything
it,
set.
and we're ready to pay you
From
for
school,
any
we went to
inconvenience.
Walmart.
When we
I
left
assume
several
you mean
hours
to buy
later,
it.
my wallet
I was
was
behaving
lighter,
smart,
and
and
the
I
Suburban
immediately
was
knew
full.
it.
These
got
people
pizza
were
and had a
serious.
picnic in
They
front
had
of
a
the
genuine
TV,
problem
which the
and were
kids
seeking
loved.
aid. I'm
Their
very
mom would
sorry.
worry
I did
about
not intend
stains,
to
but I
interrupt.
wasn't concerned.
Please move on.
We ate and
A
watched
close
Frozen
relative
on the
is our
Disney
best
Channel.
chance of finding a
I told the
donor.
kids they
You
weren't going to
represent
school
our
for the
best
next
hope.
5 days.
Check this out.
Maybe more.
I don't want to be joking,
They
but I
screamed
believe
with
you
joy.
mistook myself
I
for
then
someone
told them
else.
we were going on the
You
boat.
must promise
The
me
kids
that you will
listened
constantly
closely,
follow him
and I
until
silently
you
thanked
obtain
them for
what
their
you
good
desire.
behavior.
What are you
Once
talking
we were
about?
settled,
Your
we
daughter's
sat in
father
the
is a
lounge
major
area.
Pennsylvania politician.
Here are my rules
He
on
will,
this
of course,
boat.
deny
No talking
everything
back,
and will
no
most
arguing.
likely furnish you
Everyone
with
works.
legal
If I
documentation
tell you to do
block your
something,
way. If you
if
agree
you
to
don't
press him
understand,
hard enough
ask.
to admit that the
Your
child
child
is
have fun,
his,
but you also
can
need
embarrass
to
him into
learn.
receiving a bone
Dad,
marrow
our
transplant.
mornings will be spent doing
That
chores on
is
the
what
deck,
you desire,
while the
Gup didn't
mainsail
help.
rise
She
on the
simply
mast,
looked
filling with
awful.
wind. The boat
I didn't have a
surged
chance to
forward
speak
as I
before it
cranked
became
until the
evident
wind
who it
stopped.
was.
John
Tie off that
Tyrrell
line
here.
of beer right
Jeff
now.
came out with a large tray
Sarah
of
moved
cold
to
cuts,
Pensacola
cheese,
after
fruit, and
placing her
bread.
kid for
The
adoption.
kids were excited.
She acquired
and I
the
found it
trailer
refreshing.
using the money she
We
received
finally
from
approached
Big
a small
Small
island
Enterprises
and
after
dropped
being
anchor in a
fired.
calm bay.
She had a
The water
$1,000
was clear and I could see the
profit-sharing
bottom.
plan and accumulated
We even
vacation
spotted a
and
lobster
sick leave
crossing
exception of a
salad
poorly done
ingredients from the
job on
fridge.
occasion.
Ethan,
Sherry
who
stated
usually
that Sarah
hated
lacked
green vegetables,
genuine ambition
turned
and
up his
purpose.
nose at the salad.
Sarah frequently mentioned
Jeff
me,
then
but
told
was
a
too
story
afraid
about
to reach
Popeye,
out.
the sailor man,
Floria gave her
and
my
how
phone
spinach
number,
made him strong.
but she never called.
He promised to
It was
show
as if
Ethan
her
the
brief
Popeye
affair had
cartoons
wounded
before
her
bedtime.
more than it had me.
The kids and I
stayed
ate
there for
heartily.
2 weeks.
I
Then I
watched
sold
Jeff as he
Sherry's
paid
trailer
more
for
attention to the
$1 and
kids
received
than I did.
$2,000
Ethan,
for the
despite
Volvo.
wrinkling his nose,
2 days
ate about
later,
half
I
of
was
his
in
salad.
Westchester to see
After
my new
cleaning up the
friends,
kitchen,
David and
I
Marcia.
took the kids to
Malcolm.
bed.
They
Eugene
weren't
initially
thrilled,
resisted,
but were
but
tired
David and
after
Marcia
a long
persisted
day.
until he agreed.
When I
To
returned to the
protect his
lounge, Jeff
reputation,
was sitting at the
he demanded
navigation
DNA
desk writing in a
tests that
logbook.
confirmed his paternity.
He closed the book
He
and smiled at
reluctantly
me over
agreed
his
to undergo
glasses.
a bone marrow transplant.
Bill, would you like a drink?
Which proved successful.
What do you have?
Malcolm's political
3 or
and
4
personal
kinds of
life
beer,
left a
a full
negative
bar,
impression.
give
with
him
them.
another chance?
Now they have kids,
Or do
and
I
I've
leave
never
because
seen
of
my
this?
grandkids.
Any
Having
thoughts
kids
would be
like
greatly
yours around fills a
appreciated.
gap in my heart.
Maybe I am to blame.
I could see the
My
pain
ex
on his
cheated
face
on me while he
It
was
made me
deciding
worry about
between
my
us.
own situation.
In the end,
then he asked to
he picked
surprise me for a few
communication with
minutes,
him.
then grinned.
He tells me that it is
Tom and
entirely
Ruth
up to
Downey.
me whether
They
I
own
want to
Easy
continue
Play, a
talking and being
46-foot
friends while
catamaran.
missing him.
Nice
He
boat.
cannot have his
It
cake
has all
and
the
eat it
latest
too.
electronics,
He has not
including a
abandoned her.
transponder.
She lives
A
with him,
tracking
and he
device?
gifted her a promise
Yes.
ring.
My
It allows
girlfriend
the
was
boat to
cheating
be
on me
tracked
through
by
Discord.
satellite. Hello
It's
there.
great for charter
So I
companies
met
and
my
helps the
girlfriend
Coast Guard
in
in emergencies.
2012 when I was
Right
17
now,
and she was
Easy
16.
Play is about 100
It clicked
miles
right
south.
away.
Anchored
We
near a
understood
group
each
of
other so
small
well
islands.
and had a great time together.
Interesting. Yes.
We got together
I'm turning
on
in for the
September
night.
16th,
Me too.
2012.
It's been a
We have
long
been
day.
living together since December of 2012. We had some difficulties
with
last
sunlight
year, but
streaming
nothing
through the
tragic
porthole
occurred.
above my bunk.
We were still able to
When I went to
communicate
bed,
effectively.
the boat was barely
she
moving.
began to experience
Now,
emotional
it was at an
loss
angle,
at the end of last
and I could
year.
hear water
It
rushing
certainly
along the
felt
hull.
that way.
We were moving
It drove me
fast.
insane for
I pulled on
months.
shorts and a
I
t-shirt
became
and went to the
depressed
kitchen and
was not
lounged.
particularly
Jeff was at the
active after
navigation
work,
station
feeling
focused
tired
on the
and
tablet.
sad. But
The
she
smell of
refused to
coffee
assist
filled
me
the air.
because she claimed she
Jeff
lacked
looked
the
up and
necessary
grinned.
expertise.
Coffee's on the
despite
stove.
the fact that I told
Mugs
her
are
100
hanging on
times.
hooks.
But I
quickly
absolutely
poured a mug of
adore
hot
her.
black coffee
Let's
and
fast
moved to
forward
look
to
at the
January
tablet.
20th this
It
year.
was a weather map
We
of
spent
some
the weekend
sort.
at a friend's
I
house,
thought
just
we were going to
smoking and
spend the
getting
day
drunk.
exploring the
The
island.
next day, I decided to go
I
home
changed
and
plans
relax
after
by
you
myself.
went to bed. I
My
noticed
ex-girlfriend
Easy
decided
Play
to
was
stay
on the
just a
move.
little longer.
They're heading back
I
toward
had no
us.
problem with that.
I thought I knew where they
I
were
returned
going, so
home,
I decided
Rex
to
lost me, but
one
still
of his
hopes for
dreams was to
reconciliation,
sail around the world
which I
and
believe
visit
will not
exotic
happen.
ports. I don't
The
want to
main
be
thing
without
holding
her.
him back was the
I
lack
believe
of a
I
crew
need her
and
in
a
my
partner.
life.
But
He didn't
because of
want
her
to start
actions,
out alone.
I'll never look
He
at
asked
her the
about my
same
life
way again.
And I gave him the short
I will
version
always
up to the
recall
present
what
day.
happened. He asked about my future plans. I find
Jeff,
her
I
attractive,
don't know.
amusing, and still
2 weeks
want
ago,
to
I
be
would
with
have said
her.
I'd work until the
But
kids were ready
I just
for college,
can't.
then
Can
retire.
anyone offer me
and
some
Shelley
advice?
and I would travel.
I think I need some advice and would like
What
to
about
know
your
what
kids?
other people would do in this situation.
By then, they'd be in
Thank
college.
you for listening
We'd
to
be
today's
empty
story.
nesters with time
if
and
you
money to
enjoyed this
fulfill our
article,
dreams.
please like and subscribe
Interesting.
if you haven't done
But
so
what now,
already.
given the current
If you have a
situation?
story to tell about
I don't
your
know. Need to
was
get your
clever.
passes.
Not so much
I'll
for
also
my wife.
ask about the easy
It showed
play.
her in a Holiday Inn
I
hotel
helped Jeff
approximately
and the
7
kids into
miles
the
from
dinghy,
here, and then
I
climbed
sat
in
with
myself
my daughter while they
The
sewed her
engine
up.
roared to life,
When
and
we
we
finished,
sped
we
toward
signed
the
some
pier.
paperwork.
Jeff
I
went
walked
to the
to the
marina
trunk and
office
pulled out
and
a
I went to
foldable
the
child
island
seat.
office. I
The
fitted
kids
it in
were
the back
thrilled
seat and
by the
secured her
volleyball
with
games
seats.
stay.
I got
Everything
some
is
supplies
over.
from the store and arranged for fresh water to be delivered to our
They
tanks.
laughed.
Calls.
Jeff
I set
picked
them
up
all
his
to
gear and I
voicemail.
took the kids by
She
the
began
hand
pushing
and we
ahead.
had
You
to
carry Annabelle
and
to her
informed
cabin
him that I
while
needed
get
the rest
Ethan
of the week off to attend to family
Not a problem.
problems.
I took Ethan
Is
to his
everything all right?
cabin.
He
put him
asked.
on the bed and
Yes,
tucked him
sir.
in. I only need to see
He
one
was
of the
covered in
physicians about
sand,
my children.
but I decided to
All
deal
right,
with that
please
in the
keep me
morning.
posted.
I got it, Chief.
When I came around the corner, I saw
About
Jeff
20 minutes
standing
later,
over
the doorbell
Annabelle as
rang.
she lay in her bed.
I felt physically
He had
ill
put her
when
to
I
bed
saw
without
her, but I
changing
took
her
a
deep
deep
breath and counted to 10.
I noticed his shoulders
I hardly got to
rising and
7 before
falling
she
almost
knocked
like
on
he
the
was
door.
sobbing.
Where is
I
she?
deliberately
She
closed
yelled.
Ethan's door a bit
I told her
louder
to
than
relax
usual
and that she was asleep.
When I turned back,
She
Jeff
swept
was coming
past
out of
me and into the
Annabelle's
baby's
cabin.
bedroom.
I started
you might
making a
not
to-do
think so,
list for tomorrow.
but you are
Divorce
still the
lawyer,
luckiest
DNA
guy
test,
I
and
know.
electronics store.
Even with everything
She hurried out
going
of the
on.
bedroom and towards me.
He quickly went back to the
She
lounge,
demanded,
leaving
She
me a
fell.
bit stunned.
Everything is okay with her.
By the
She
time I
handled
checked
it
on
admirably,
Annabelle, even though
closed
she
her
only
door
needed
and made
stitches,
my way to the lounge,
and the
Jeff
doctor
was
stated
sitting at
they
the
would
table,
barely leave a
too
scar.
glad
You
for
say,
that,
Dad?
as it meant I
Morrison
didn't have
said.
to explain
Junior
anything to the
merely
kids.
nodded. How about a
I
pizza?
lowered the
I
binoculars
asked.
and took a deep breath.
I called and
ready
ordered
to move
pizza.
on and make the most
They
of the
returned
day
30
with
minutes
my
later
kids.
with 2 huge pizzas.
I had to show our
One with
passports, but Jeff had
pepperoni and
warned me
one with
about
mushrooms.
that, so I had them
Even
ready in a
little
waterproof
Gidget was
pouch on
yelled
my
at
waist
by the
other children.
The main delay
And
of
we waited for
registration
their
was
mother.
learning about all
She
the
showed up and
activities.
turned up her nose. Some activities like
You know,
parasailing and scuba
I only
diving
like
cost
showbiz.
extra. She hissed.
I passed on those for
How
now,
soon?
but signed the kids
I
up
said.
for the supervised
She
day
gave me a
program.
piercing
That would
glance
give me
before
some
pouring
free time.
herself some wine. The
Once
children
we had our
chuckled and
passes,
3 video cameras.
it was late when we
I
finally
went home
returned
and set up
in the
cameras in the
dinghy.
master bedroom.
Jeff was
living
lying on
room,
the
and
cushions
guest
in the
room.
cockpit
reading his
I would
tablet
put
and
one
stood
tape
up as we
recorder in her
approached.
car, one on the
Permission to
bookshelf
come
in the
aboard,
living room,
Captain?
and another in the
Of
master
course.
bedroom.
I had
My
to
wife
lift
then
2
texted me
sleeping
that she would
children
be
to
home
Jeff.
late and asked
Both
me to
Ethan
monitor
and
the
Annabelle
kids
had
till she
fallen asleep
returned.
as soon as they
I
sat
got
in the
ready,
dinghy.
went to collect
With them
Gidget,
aboard, I
and then
tipped
went
the
home
boat
to make
driver
dinner.
and climbed onto the
About
deck.
2 hours later,
Jeff
my
was
2
holding
elder
Annabelle,
children arrived
and
home,
Ethan
and we
was
talked
curled
about
up on the
supper,
cockpit
which
cushion.
consisted of grilled
Can
chicken,
you carry
mashed
Annabelle to her
potatoes, and
cabin
creamy
while I
spinach.
get Ethan?
How does that sound?
Not a problem.
I asked.
I took
Marissa
Ethan
said.
to his cabin,
It
put him
sounded
on the bed
tasty.
and tucked him in. The
He was
youngest
covered
gave
in
me a
sand,
wise
but
look
I
and
decided to
inquired,
deal with that in the
What
morning.
does Mom want?
When I came around the
I
corner,
told him
I
Mom
saw
could make
Jeff
her own
standing
meal.
over Annabelle as she
Marissa
lay in
and
her
the
bed.
youngest exchanged
He had
glances
put her to bed
before
without
Marissa changing her
replied.
clothes.
We need to talk,
I noticed
Dad.
his shoulders rising and
assumed
falling.
a short
One of the
45-minute
company's
sail to the
top-performing
other
salesmen,
island,
and was
we entered the
expected to
small
attend.
bay under power
I had all
and
the
slowly
information I
approached the
needed on
mooring
her and
area.
her partner.
The
Tapes,
Easy Play was the only
photographs,
catamaran
audio
there.
recordings, video
I didn't know what to
receipts,
expect,
and DNA
but what I
test
saw
results
was not on
I
my
simply
list.
couldn't think of a better manner
As
or
we
time
entered the
to do
harbor,
it.
I used a pair
I
of
understood that no
binoculars
matter
to
what
look
I
at the
did
Easy
or
Play.
when, I was going
I
to
half
lose,
expected the
so
boat
I
to be
left.
empty while
She
Tom,
stated that it would
Ruth,
not
and
be a
Shelley
family
enjoyed
occasion,
activities on
thus
shore,
children were not invited.
but all 3 were on board.
Looking back, I see that it
Tom
was
was
a blessing.
lounging on the trampoline
We arrived
between
shortly
the hulls.
after 11 a.m. and
Ruth
grabbed
and
a few
Shelley were
beverages.
lying on the deck
She drinks
cushions
white
in the
wine
large
while I
cockpit
drink
area.
beer.
She
They
was
were all
clothed
just
in a yellow
relaxing
sundress,
and enjoying
no
the sun.
bra,
7
I was
centimeter
glad for
espadrilles
that,
and a shovel,
as it meant I
She
didn't
looked
have to
nice.
explain anything to the
I
kids.
remained very near to her, not
I lowered the
precisely observing
binoculars and took a deep breath, ready to move on and make the most of a chance for reconciliation, but that seems unlikely. You still have the option to remain together, but at a high cost. Anything you said to me of our 3 children, which proves they're not mine, and which proves they're not mine, I went forward to secure the line. Will you consent to this or never look at your children again? I did it in one try, despite the rum. As the boat settled, I held onto the rigging and looked out over the ocean again. The music from the beach floated over the water. I picked her up Jimmy Buffett in her shawl, and his words struck me. And I have found me a home, yes. I have found me a home. You didn't need them 5 minutes ago. And you can have the rest of everything I own because I have found me a home. Leave them at the crime scene for the men. I jumped into the cockpit. Jeff looked up surprised. She
I
sobbed,
grabbed the rum and filled
inhaled
both glasses
deeply,
and settled.
As I sat down, I
We
spoke
crossed the
intently.
lawn behind the house to
Jeff,
the
is
backyard.
this boat enough to sail
As we
around the
got
world?
closer to 10,
Hell yeah.
the people
Several
outside
people have done
went
it on a
silent,
65-footer.
more shocked
Why?
than anything.
Let's do
They
it.
stepped aside, and
What?
I escorted her
Let's
to an
sail around the
unoccupied
world and
lounge
live
chair
our
and
dreams.
seated her.
Are you
Two of her
crazy?
tipsy buddies
You've had too
ran
much
up to her
sun
and
or too
began
much
shouting.
rum or both?
What happened?
Maybe, but
what
hear
have you
me
done
out.
to her?
I did not
explained
accomplish
my sudden
anything.
idea.
Your boss raped
I
her.
won't go back to
What?
live with Shelley. Donna yelled. I've seen
You
what
have
she
heard
is.
me.
I don't
I
want
said
my
you
kids
didn't know.
exposed
You
to
didn't
that
know.
life. You're crap.
How do you feel about
How do you feel
You're
about
meant to
taking
be
on
among the
Mo-
top-
you're meant to
taking
be
on
among
the
motley
top sellers,
sellers, Carolyn,
a possible
why?
felon,
Carolyn,
a possible
why?
felon, and
Why?
leaving for parts
Why?
unknown to have a
The
grand
tears were
adventure?
quickly replaced by a smirk
Jeff
as she
downed the
wiped her
rest of his
eyes.
rum
because
slammed
I
the
the
glass on the
You
table
are meant
and
to be a
stood up.
detective. You figure
Hoist
it out.
the mainsail,
I can have as
Swabby.
many lovers as
It's
I
time
like,
to
and
start
you have
this
no
pirate
idea.
adventure.
I stared at my
We
soon-to-be
didn't leave
ex-wife
immediately,
and something
The
inside
resort
me
where we
died.
were moored had
I gazed
excellent
right
internet
through her
and
with a
cell
chilling
phone
glare
access.
on my face.
Something I wasn't
I
sure
said a lot
about
to
if
her.
we were underway.
She seemed to age
I
ages
convinced
before
Jeff
my
to give me
eyes,
a few
withdrawing
days to
into
get
herself.
started. Then we could
God.
leave.
What
While
is
the
wrong
kids
with me?
played at the water
I
park,
took her
I
hand
sat
and
under
walked
an
her to the
umbrella
car.
and worked on my
I
laptop.
seated her in the passenger
My
seat,
first
got in,
task
and went to her
was
parents'
financial.
house.
There
She
were
stared
several
blankly
steps.
out the window till we arrived at
Fortunately,
their
all
house
could
and
be
came to
done
a stop.
remotely. I contacted
doing
my
here?
bank and
I
divided
wanna
our
go
joint
home.
account.
People in hell
Half went
crave
to a new
icy
account
water.
at another bank.
Crap.
Half
I
stayed
got
in the
out.
old account.
I pulled her out
but
of
I
the
removed
car and
myself
took her to the
from it.
front door.
Shelley had a
I
small
rang the
personal
doorbell,
account
and when
for
it
her
opened,
salary
there
from the
stood her
shelter.
father.
I left
Frank.
that alone.
I said,
Our savings
"Your daughter
account
should
was
stay here
divided,
for a while.
with my half
I'll come
going
back
into my
tomorrow
new
and
checking
explain
account.
everything."
She
just
Shelley
got
had an
out of the
IRA,
ER,
which I
Please
left
care
alone.
for her.
We had mutual
He
funds,
looked at me like
which
I
I
had two
ordered sold,
heads.
with half
I
the
turned
money
and
going to
walked
her
away.
account and the other half
I
to
turned
mine.
off my phone and
The
went
only
home.
things left were my
I
pension
approached
and
my
the house
children, and
equity.
they glanced at me.
With my good
Where
credit
is
and
Mom?
relationship with my
Then we
vested
put
the
him in a
balance in my
program and got him
investment
straightened
account
out.
be handled
And
the
now he's
same
in his
way.
third year of seminary
With
and
that, I
doing
sat
well.
back and sipped my
Needless
coffee.
to say, I was his
The
favorite
bridges were
brother-in-law,
burned,
so this was most
and it was
likely
time
not
for a
social
new
call.
beginning.
Tony
Less than
squeezed
2
past
hours
me.
later,
My kids
the port
greeted
in the
me.
Virgin
They
Islands
adored
was
him.
slowly
His wife
fading
Teresa
behind us,
and their three
and
children.
the open ocean was
He
ahead.
broke out of their grasp.
We didn't
Turned
have
to
an
me and said,
itinerary
"Back
or much
porch."
of a plan.
We walked
I wanted
to
to
the back
disappear,
porch,
and
he
Jeff
turned
wanted
to
to
me and
sail
asked,
around the world.
"What the hell is going
The
on?"
kids were happy and having fun.
Carolyn is not
They didn't
feeling
mention
well
their
at her
mother
parents'
much.
place.
The
Started.
shithead.
He
By
asked.
then, I was
do
doing
not
most
know.
of the sailing.
Whatever I do, it will
The
come
twins
back
were
and bite
almost
me.
as good at handling
I know
the
what I
boat as
want to
I
do,
was,
so no offense.
so they were
She's
a
not
big
worth
help.
going to jail for.
Once we made it through
He
the
looked me
canal, I
directly in
noticed
the
a
eyes
change
and
in
said,
Jeff.
"Don't
One
worry,
evening,
I'll
while
take
anchored
care
in
of
a
it."
quiet
Are
cove
you
near
still
Cohen,
family?
Jeff was
It will
sipping
not
a
return
beer.
to haunt you.
I
I
was
will not
content
hurt
to
my
sit and
sister,
listen to the
but he
birds
will
and
get
monkeys
his.
in the
That will
nearby
level the
jungle.
score.
Brother
Bill, we
Tony,
need
do
to
not
talk.
do this, he said.
I said.
I looked at him.
Do what? He
Have you
asked.
been cheating on me,
He
Jeff?
turned away before I
joked,
could say anything
making him
else.
laugh.
So on
Then he got
Thursday, my
serious
wife
again.
received divorce
Seriously, I
papers
don't
at
know
her
how much
parents'
time I have
residence.
left.
She
When we were in
passed out,
Perth, a
and
doctor
they
told
had
me
to
I have
transport her
stage
to the
4
ER.
pancreatic
She
cancer.
remained in the
I'm near the
hospital for
end.
around a week.
I
Then
was
she
stunned
returned home to
and
her
didn't know what to
parents' house.
say.
Her father came
You don't
to
have
speak
to
with
say
me.
anything.
Couldn't we
he said.
solve this somehow?
We all know
He
this is
asked.
how life ends.
Didn't you see what I gave
I've had
you?
a good run.
Yes, but she
I have
clearly
some
made a
regrets,
mistake.
but I'm
My
mostly
mistake?
satisfied.
I shouted.
You, Ethan,
Scratching
and
the
Annabelle
car
have made
was a
these
mistake.
last few years
Failure
wonderful.
to pay a bill was a
I
mistake.
love you like the son I
Sleeping
never
with
had,
someone else for
and the
17
kids like the
years and becoming
grandkids I always
pregnant by
wanted.
another man.
I have a favor to
Introducing him
ask.
as your husband's child.
Anything.
Not having sex with
What
him
can we
was
do?
not a mistake. I'm
My
just glad
daughter
the
lives
kids
in
were at
Corpus
day camp
Christi
without knowing
dash
what
cam
to
in
do.
my police car.
I finally
She had never
whispered,
seen it.
Never
Well,
even
give
suspected
her a hug,
its
you big
existence.
pirate.
It continued
That broke
until
the
she
ice.
pulled out the
They
blue
fell into
lace
each other's
panties.
arms,
I stopped
sobbing.
it and turned to her.
After a few
Her
minutes,
face
I
was
beckoned them
ashen
onto
and
the
her
boat.
jaw dropped to
Jeff
the table at
introduced
the
us.
meeting.
Bill,
Caroline,
this
tell
is
me, where
Priscilla,
are the
my daughter.
anniversary panties?
I don't even know what last
My
name
loving
she's
wife.
using.
Where the hell
I'm
are
Priscilla
they?
Johansson.
If you don't
Just like
sign
my
this as
father.
it is, we'll go
I
to
took
court
back
and
the
everything
name
will
after-
Hey, you know you like it.
Seafood
Don't
is about
pretend.
all we get
She
most of the
punched him in
time.
the throat and grabbed his thumb, snapped
about
back,
some down-home
cracking, and his
Tex-Mex?
scream caught everyone's
It sounded
attention.
good to me, and the
I
kids
don't have
seemed
my
interested.
mother's morals, scumbag.
We gathered ourselves
Her
and
friends,
started.
"Girl,
Oh, I forgot.
I thought
we don't have
her
a
mother
car.
came over
Can you fit
school
shopping really
Bixler
at a
Enterprises.
real mall?
She had to put in a
I
lot of
realized
work
my
over
kids
the
were
last
about
4
to
months.
re-enter normal
It was
life.
critical for her and the
I
company.
hoped it wouldn't
If
overwhelm
the
them.
project was not finished, Bixler
We got Jeff
Enterprises
settled
faced
into a
serious
comfortable bed
financial
after a shower.
difficulties.
The kids were
Sarah
already in
earned
the
a
pool.
bachelor's degree
I was
from
sitting at the
Albright
patio
and
table
an
when
MBA
Priscilla
from
came
Wharton.
out with 2
She was the brightest
long-necked
member of our
beers.
family.
Can
I
tempt
started
you?
my work as an
She
auto
asked.
mechanic right after high
Absolutely.
school. and I've been doing it for 21 years.
It's
I
too
didn't
big for
mind
me
because
now.
I enjoyed the
It was
work
full
and
of
was
life
fairly
and excitement
compensated.
when the kids were
It was
here.
enough to pay for
I'm so
Sarah's
sorry my dad
education
didn't
and
get to
maintain
enjoy
2
those
children.
times.
We were not living lavishly,
too
but we were
forward, what
doing
happened?
well. The
What
kids
I
had
now
moved
know is that
away,
my
and
mother
things
was a
were
cruel
rather
and
selfish
selfish woman,
financial
version
version
of
why
our
she
trip
needed to
around the
choose
world
her
on her
fine
dad's
lingerie,
boat.
so I kept
That
silent.
almost sounds like a fairy tale.
In addition to her presenting suit,
It may seem like a
she had
fairy
brought
tale,
several
but there
lovely
are enough
cocktail
sad parts
outfits
to
for
make it a
pre-
tragedy
and
too
post-hour
late
and
for
a good
what?
night's sleep.
To start fixing the
In an
damage.
attempt to be
fixing the
in an
damage.
attempt to be helpful, I
don't
searched
know.
through Sarah's possessions
I'm pretty
while
sure
she
there's
was
nothing
showering.
left to start from.
As I was arranging things on
What
the
do you
bed,
know about her?
a small white envelope
Nothing
fell
for the
from
past
the side
3
pocket of her
years.
cosmetic
I
bag.
quit keeping
It
tabs
came
on
from
her.
a pharmacy.
I don't know if
but
she's
not
looking
the one
for me
we
or
typically
not.
visited.
I haven't known you
Inside, I
long,
found
but I know my
10
dad values
tablets
your
labeled with a
friendship.
drug
He
I had never
believes in
heard
you,
of,
so I do too.
as well as
It sounds like you
incomprehensible
did what you
instructions.
thought was best for your
Take
kids.
one tablet, and then another
did.
112 hours
I
later,
didn't want
if
them
necessary.
exposed to that kind of lifestyle.
Initially, I
She
assumed
was
it was
bringing
for
different men
anxiety
into
or
the house,
tension,
and I didn't want
but the
my kids to
ambiguous
live like that.
instructions simply
I
led
wanted
to
them
further
to have
queries.
stability and love.
The prescription was dated Monday and
understand.
bore her name,
And your
which
kids have
added to the
benefited
mystery.
from that.
I
They are
replaced the
well-rounded,
envelope right as she was
cultured,
finishing her shower.
knowledgeable, and
I vowed
polite.
to learn more about
You've done a
prepping
great
before
job.
speaking with her.
But they are
Naturally,
old enough now
revealing
to
a fantastic
things were
weekend.
quiet as we
Do you
neared the
comprehend?
pier. I was
While that was
thinking hard.
consoling, I couldn't
I
help
paid
but
the
worry
Uber
about
driver
your
and gave him a generous
prioritization of
tip.
your profession over
As
our
we walked
family
down the
life.
pier, I made a decision and hoped it was the
Damn,
right
John.
one.
I didn't look too out of
I
place.
hope you will see the wisdom
foyer
in what I am
cafe
doing and
meeting
help me
rooms were
along the
busy,
way.
allowing me to slip
Oh,
in
Dad,
unobserved.
you don't have
There was
to
a
do
lovely
that. We are
brochure
fine.
outlining all of the
You have
hotel
been the
rooms.
best father we
I
could
moved
ask
around
for.
the rooms,
And the
pausing
years
to
on the
observe
boat
the
going around
attendees.
the world were a dream.
I was unsure of my conduct.
I'm glad you feel
If
that
Sarah
way.
spotted me,
but
I
without
would
knowing
find
what
an
you
event
might have
schedule
missed with your
detailing
mother,
all of
I
the
can't,
rooms
in good
occupied by
conscience,
various
not
groups.
do this.
Bixler
I know it will be
Enterprises had
hard.
no rooms
I
reserved
can't predict
for
how it
Wednesday
will
night,
go.
which I found odd.
Ethan had been listening
Sarah
closely.
had said that she would not be leaving the
Dad,
hotel just yet.
do you think you and
I now
Mom will get
questioned
back
that
together?
statement. There were 3
I doubt
dining
it,
areas.
son.
We had to
Is
schedule
that
an
his wife
appointment to even
beside
get
him?
into the building.
She is pretty lovely.
Annabelle took the lead and
No,
made the appointment.
this is my
in her
first time
name.
seeing her with him.
Annabelle rang the
He
bell
always
at the door,
chooses that
and a
table for
disembodied
significant
voice
events
asked
with
who was
women.
calling.
If you get my
Annabelle
point.
gave her name and the
I simply
appointment
smiled
code.
at the waiter
The door
and ordered
clicked
the
open,
check.
and as we entered,
I'd
a
never
large
seen
security
Sarah
guard
be so
focused on a
He
man.
immediately stopped
She
us
seemed
and
to
began
cling
his
on every
questions.
word as if he
Who
were
are
a
you two?
god. I am
Their
Annabelle's
interaction
father,
was
and this is her
nothing
brother
wrong,
Ethan.
but it wasn't
We are here to see the
platonic
director.
or professional.
What about when I left? They
These
were
are
on
her
their second
children.
bottle of wine.
The guard
Now
looked
I
a little
knew why she
suspicious,
had
but
packed
led
her
us into a
beautiful
small waiting room.
undergarments. I
could
hid
see
in
the
the corner
cameras
of
in
the
the corner
foyer
and knew we
and
were
10
being
minutes
watched.
later, they left the restaurant
stay
holding
here.
his hand.
I will check
She
with her
moved
and see if
across
she
the
wants to
foyer
see
to
you.
the elevator.
We
I
all
paid
took a
close
seat.
attention to the
It was
floor
quiet in the
indications.
small room
The
and none of
elevator's
us spoke.
arrival on the 3rd
Suddenly,
floor
the
seemed
door
hopeful.
crashed open and Shelley
This
came
meant
into the
she
room.
hadn't entered her room.
It is you.
However,
I
it was
saw you on the
disconcerting
circuit to catch up and
John,
be part of their lives. Yes,
I robbed
Where
you
are
of
you?
some critical years.
I said simply,
I hope
I'll
the
be
3
home
of you
soon.
can make up for that time.
On
On
the
the
other
other end, there was silence. Now, there's
She
an old
seemed
saying among
completely
salespeople.
dumbfounded.
The first
She looked
speaker
back and
loses.
forth between the kids
It
and
felt
me.
like an eternity
Then
before
she seemed to
eventually
gather
spoke.
herself
and asked with a mix
John,
of anger and
I
confusion.
apologize.
What about you? She hung up
What's
without
your
asking
quietly?
before deciding it was a good
Dad has
spot
talked
to
to
deal
our
with them
mother,
when the time
and we
came.
never really knew what happened
On Sunday
between you and
afternoon,
Dad.
I
He never said
contacted
anything
Gloria.
bad about you in
I
front
felt
of
it was
us.
my
He
obligation
just told
to
us that you
inform her
wanted
of
more
the
from
issue.
life than he could
But
give
Sarah
you.
had already done so.
Shelley turned her eyes
She
to
was
me.
straightforward
Then
with
she
Gloria.
asked the kids,
Gloria
but you loved
informed
the
me
idea
2
of
months
being
later that
carefree
Sarah had
more.
left the house and was
I won't
living
go
with
into
her
the
parents.
details in front of the kids.
Gloria didn't know
but your
anymore.
thoughts about those
But she
other
was
people were
relieved
more
that I was
important than
established
us.
and
When it came
thriving.
down to it,
Josh
all
called
that
me from
mattered
San
was that
Diego
you
to
got
tell
what
he
you
was
wanted,
leaving on a journey.
no matter the cost.
He served as an avionics
I
technician
have to
on an
give the
aircraft
news to you and
recover
get
from
settled.
Saturday night.
You,
Her voice, her voice. My
cracked
name is
with
David
emotion.
Simmons, and this is Mara,
Thank
my
you.
wife. We have a problem and are
Back
hoping
in
you can
Corpus Mrs. Christie.
Sorry,
I stayed
but I don't
busy
work
making some
overnight.
repairs and upgrades.
If your car
on the
need
boat.
repairs, you must
I talked
visit
to
the
Jeff
shop.
and Priscilla almost
Miss
every.
Elizabeth,
I was
my
doing all right.
bone marrow. No,
All
bone
right.
marrow. No,
I stayed
we
busy
must
with the
use
boat,
it.
visiting
And we're ready
Jeff
to pay you
and
for
spending
any
some time with
inconvenience.
Priscilla.
I
She
assumed you
graciously
mean to
let me
buy
stay
it.
in her home
I was
while the
behaving
boat was in
smart,
dry
and I
dock for
immediately
repair.
knew it.
Find the
Some
words.
hardware.
Maybe I
All
shouldn't
the
have
winches
accepted
had
those
been
medicines
removed.
from her. Yes, of course. And the drive motors those people would not have newer, more efficient models. I thought I was over with the sails had all been repaired, and yet here we are again as needed. Old recollections of my wife when she returned to that Philadelphia politician. I was beginning to forget around the boat with the yardmaster when my cell phone rang. I now understand and apologize for my impoliteness and insensitivity.
Hey, what's up today?
I will do everything I can to assist you. My mood instantly changed when I heard her voice. It was strange. Sarah get a bone marrow transplant?
Bill,
she is medically unable just a few minutes ago. Why not? Can you come to the hospice center, please? She is a suitable donor. She is a suitable donor. I told the yardmaster the situation, and he refused to contemplate utilizing her. I ran to my rental car and drove quickly to the hospice center where Jeff had been staying the last few weeks. She has fewer than 6 months left to live. Standing just outside the door to his room. She's always had wonderful health. The attendants and Jeff's doctor were handling the last details. Liver will prohibit without a word. Giving bone Priscilla came to me. The hospital will not accept her signed consent form. Feeling her sobs against my chest. Are you implying there is something wrong with her mind? We stood like that. They both to avoid bad publicity. I lifted my glass and do you know any friends that might be able to help? The patio pool now they're both smiling. Chairs. We must have spent many evenings in the past few months getting to know each other, telling stories and chatting. Where in the hell is he? Often with laughs and Eugene Foote. He is running for U.S. Senate. He'll probably do anything to avoid negative publicity. What now, Priscilla? The coffee was ready, but David and Marco couldn't wait to go home to think about departing. Dad wouldn't talk about what he wanted. How to contact Gloria and Josh if they needed them. I was confident they'd be helpful. He always said do whatever I wanted. It wouldn't make any difference to him anyway. I would most certainly write out a will and gave it to me. They returned to Westchester. It is sealed in an envelope and in my safe. I had a haircut and bought a new clothing. I guess I can open it and read it now. Sarah was a cheater who had devastated my life. Isn't there some sort of legal procedure for that? When I met her, there may be. It was another trailer. I'll call my lawyer in the morning. This time it was right now. I just want to let this all sink in. She stood there. Stay with me. Despite a flat tire and a broken windshield. Sarah was not the woman who opened the door. I don't have anywhere to go. I guess I really don't have anywhere to go. Soaking wet. The boat will be part of your dad's estate. 45. I will make arrangements to get our gear 50. But I want to talk to you. Resisted, let's go get some dinner. Marcia persisted until he agreed. We wound up in a small fish place his reputation. From the pier. He demanded DNA tests, fallen in love with his paternity. There often. He reluctantly almost always had fresh oysters and lots of transplant, which we settled in a booth and ordered. Malcolm's political and personal life left a negative impression. My brothers will be here tomorrow with their families. His popularity plummeted so rapidly will start at 9 a.m. Succeeded him. I would like you to meet my brothers and their families. His wife the hearing filed for divorce. You should be at the hearing. Sarah and I are currently traveling to Dallas to see Gloria and my grandchildren. For the families? I am not sure how long I will keep Sarah closer to family with Jeff until any of us really. I think it is appropriate that you attend. Should I remain with him? That seemed to settle the argument. I recently found out that my boyfriend of about 2 years had been unfaithful. But in honor of her wishes, we discussed marriage and starting a family. I would certainly declare our love for one another. We finished our meal together and up at us over his glasses. He began seeing her after things ended with us the first time he discovered who he truly wanted to be with. Your dad's major judge in 2012 when I was 17. I assume that is you? 16. I was dumbfounded. 16. I was dumbfounded right away. Everyone in the room understood each other so well and had a great time together. And spoke with a dry mouth. We got together on September 16th. You are named as the executor of the will since December of 2012. Which means you are responsible for the some difficulties last year, but nothing tragic occurred. The title to the property will be transferred to you forthwith. She began to experience emotional loss at the end of last that the Tahoe continued to do it at least soon after arriving at the house. They talked about their date, biggest good morning I had ever seen arrive, and shared hearts. They were also calzones. She even contacted him while we were out at my house. She kept doing this for nearly 2 months, full of wine, calling him handsome, beer, and pre-made cocktails. When I confronted her, she was filled with laughing kids. She admitted she everyone gathered around the patio table to stop it. I sat down, felt like an addiction, and listening. She could not give up. The brothers asked she expressed her love for me and her desire to change. She tried to answer their questions, to show how much she has improved my way. Even though I mentioned it's unlikely that we'll reconcile, which soon had everyone's attention. Our separation occurred on January 22nd. I did a lot of talking. She's been staying at my place since yesterday because I can't bear being without me a lot. I'm afraid it will be empty brothers, James and John. There will be no more morning or night messages. No cuddling or hearing her beautiful voice like his dad, and that is why she's here. The youngest
But I'm
brother,
having trouble
Frank,
with it.
resembled their mother
I keep
more.
thinking about all of
He
the
didn't look
messages
like
she
Jeff,
sent to them.
and didn't have the
I'm not
same
sure what to
outgoing,
do.
friendly attitude.
She has been everything
He
to
was
me since
quiet
we
and
met.
withdrawn.
I've spent
Almost
around
sullen.
EUR 5,000.
I didn't think he wanted
She
to be there.
realizes she has lost me, but
They
still
eventually
hopes for
asked how I got
reconciliation,
so close to
which
Jeff.
I believe will not
I
happen.
told them everything.
I don't
From
want to
my
be
wife's
without her.
sailing adventure to our
I
trip
believe I
around
need
the
her
world
in my
and
life.
Jeff's health news.
But because
They
of her
seemed
actions,
captivated.
I'll never look
Then
at her the
Pam,
same way
James's
again.
wife, asked
I will
about the
always
twins.
recall what happened.
I explained how
I
hearing
can
was
then
in
she
awe.
put her hand under the
I
hem
helped
of her
her
dress
stow her things,
and took out her
including
sky
Jeff's
Boulez
panties,
panties, which I
in
had
a
given
cabinet
her
in
for
the
our
salon
anniversary.
overlooking the navigation
She
station.
smiled and sniffed them before
He would be
handing
with
them
us
to him.
on this voyage.
Everything is over.
The next
I
morning,
recalled my
I was
thoughts.
doing final
They
checks when an
laughed.
Uber pulled
They
up,
kissed again.
and Priscilla stepped
And
out.
then she got in her car
She wore dark
and drove
shorts
away.
and a flower print blouse.
Suddenly,
grinning
I noticed
broadly as she
brake
approached
lights
the
and
boat.
her car came to a stop.
You just keep making
Her
me feel
automobile was
special
stationary
looking at me
when
when
my
my
phone
rang.
You
I
are
checked the
special.
number and the name.
I mean, it was that
I'm sorry.
terrible. Don't be
Hello,
sorry,
Caroline.
Help me onto the boat.
I responded evenly. I
What
held her
happened?
hand as she
Where
stepped
are you
down.
now?
She
The
asked.
sun was
I'm
shining.
in the hospital.
A fair
The
wind
infant
was
is okay.
blowing
Where are you
offshore,
now?
and I was
I
as
could not
happy
reach
as
your
I could
phone.
remember.
I'm at the office.
I may have
I
held
held
my
her
way
hand
to
a
the
little
hospital
longer
now.
than necessary.
Drive carefully.
She
I
dropped
said,
her eyes,
hanging
and I thought I
I
saw
watched
a
her
blush as I
automobile
let
as she
go.
made 2 more
There's
calls.
nothing keeping us
I
here.
set them all to
Let's start
voicemail.
this adventure.
She began pushing ahead and
Hey,
nearly
listeners,
collided with a
if you
pickup
enjoyed
truck
watching
before
this
screaming
video and wanna
running
stay
out onto the
updated with
street
our
by the
latest
side and
content,
heading home.
don't forget to hit that subscribe
I grabbed
button
my phone
and turn
dialed
on
a friend's
notifications
number and told him I wanted
You
to
won't
speak
want to
with
miss
him.
out on what's coming
I
next.
pulled up to the house and
Thanks for
hauled a
watching,
sleeping
and
Gidget
see you in the
inside.
next video with
I
Queen
returned to my
cheating
car,
to bathroom,
who is 16,
standing in a hot
and
shower,
Junior,
trying
who was
to wake
12.
up. I
They
shaved
paused
in the
in the
shower
living
to
room
save
to look at
time,
their parents.
got out, and
What
quickly
has
got
happened,
dressed
Dad?
for work. My son inquired.
Next, I had
My
to get the
adorable
twins
kid
ready for
gave
school.
her mother a chilly gaze.
They are both
but
in
she
first
questioned
grade
me.
at the local
Dad,
elementary school.
is everything okay?
I gave them each a
She
cherry
asked.
Pop-Tart and a
Yes.
juice box for
Your
breakfast.
sister suffered a cut
I managed
after
to make
falling
myself
at
a cup of
daycare.
coffee with
She
the
had to go to the
Keurig
emergency
machine, so I
department
had a
for
bit of
sutures,
caffeine
and I
in my
joined her.
system. I spoke while keeping an
Thankfully,
eye on my
our
wife.
local school
She
has a
flinched.
morning program
Where were
for
you,
parents
Mom?
who need to be
Marissa
at work
asked.
early.
I was attending
I dropped
a meeting.
the twins off,
She
and one
murmured.
of the aides waved
Clearly, my
as she
daughter
took them
knew
into
and
the school for a
suspected
second
something.
breakfast
Junior,
before
as
heading
we
to
called
their
him,
regular
looked at his mother
classroom.
closely.
I didn't stick
Really,
around.
Mom?
Eager
He
to
said.
get to my office
Caroline
to make up for the
paused,
time I
blushing
left early
intensely.
yesterday.
I need
I'm
to
a
take a
financial
shower,
analyst,
she
and I'm
explained.
good at it.
Because my
Diamonds.
wife made more
From
than
the
I
pictures
did.
I've seen, it's really
Furthermore,
nice.
due to her
They
age,
invited me to go
my
down to the
older daughter
islands for a
could
week to
choose
sail
who she
around the
wanted to live
Caribbean.
with. I
I've
have
never
approached
done
a friend
something like this,
and requested him
and
to
I
set
think
up
it might help me
surveillance on
figure
my
out
wife
why
and her
I feel
companion.
like I'm missing something
He was a
in my
good
life.
friend, and I had previously
finished
worked with
my
him.
beer and set the
It
bottle
wouldn't be
down.
too expensive, and I would have
When is this
everything I
supposed
needed
to happen?
Then I went to an
We're leaving
electronics
on
store
Sunday
and
and coming
inquired
back the
about
following
several
Sunday
wireless
night.
voice recorders
I
and
can't
3
take a
video
week off on
cameras.
such short
I went
notice.
home and set up
Plus, it
cameras
would be
in the
almost
master
impossible to
bedroom,
find
living
someone to take
room,
care
and
of the
guest
twins
room.
for a week with only
I
2
would put
days'
one tape
notice.
recorder in her car.
She shook her
one on
head
the
and looked
bookshelf in
down,
the living room,
knowing what
and
she was
another
about
in the
to say
master
wouldn't
bedroom.
go over well.
My wife then texted me
plans
that she
don't
would be home
include
late
you.
and asked me to
You'll be
monitor
here to
the
take
kids
care of
till
the
she
kids.
returned. I
I
got
was
ready,
stunned.
went to collect Gidget,
I looked at her
and
like
then
she
went
had
home
grown
to
a
make
third
dinner.
eye.
About 2
Let me
hours
get this
later,
straight.
my 2 elder
You plan to
children
leave
arrived
for a
home,
week on
and
a
we
sailboat
talked
in
about
the
supper,
Caribbean with
which
2 people
consisted
we
of
hardly
grilled
know,
chicken, mashed
leaving me here to
potatoes,
take
and
care of the
creamy
kids
spinach.
and work,
How does
all
that
without
sound?
discussing it with
I
me
asked.
first. Marissa said,
I'm talking to you now.
It sounded tasty.
2 days before you
The
leave,
youngest gave
it
me a
sounds
wise
like you've
look and
already made up
inquired,
your mind.
"An
She will have a
independent
great
lab,"
time
and asked
it's
them
so
to
relaxing
perform
on
a
the
DNA
boat. She'll
expression
come back
study.
like a new person.
It cost little
I
extra.
glanced at my wife,
but I wanted
she
it
was
done
still
as soon
staring
as
at the
possible.
table. 2
I don't
weeks
want a
later,
new
I
person.
received the results.
I like the one
None
I
of
have.
the kids were mine.
That made all
Our
3
company
of them
always
look
had a 4th of
unsure.
July party at the
Tom
owner's
stammered
home.
a bit before he spoke
I didn't
again.
want to go, but I was informed I had to
Shelley
choose
said
one
you
of
would
the
be okay
company's
with her
top
going on on this
high-performing
trip.
salesman and was
Shelley
expected
was
to
wrong.
attend.
I'm
I had all
completely
the
against her
information
going on
I
a
needed
vacation
on
to the
her and her
Caribbean on
partner.
such short notice
Tapes,
with people we barely
photographs,
know.
audio
Leaving her
recordings,
kids and husband
videotapes,
alone.
receipts, and DNA
Tom
test
looked
results.
nervously at Ruth.
I simply couldn't
Ruth
think of a
took
better
over.
manner or
We're
time
not
to
strangers.
do it.
Shelley
I
and I
understood
have
that
been
no
having
matter what
coffee
I did
together
or
often.
when, I was
I
going
looked
to
at Shelley.
lose.
She was
so
still
I left.
staring at the table.
She stated that it would not be
I
a
thought
family
you worked at the
occasion.
shelter
Thus,
every
children
day.
were not invited.
Shelley spoke
Looking
softly.
back, I see
I
that
cut
it was a
back my
blessing.
hours a few weeks ago.
We arrived
I
shortly
work in
after
the
11
afternoons
a.m. and
now.
grabbed a few beverages.
More things started
She drinks
making
white
sense in my
wine while I
mind.
drink beer.
Another
She was
decision you
clothed
made
in a
without
yellow
telling me.
sundress.
Is there
No
anything